What is up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of AoS Trash Pandas. I'm your host, Rob, and with me, as usual, is my co-host, Carson. How's it going, Carson?
It's going pretty good.
Nice.
Pretty good. It's a beautiful day outside. Went for a nice little park walk. And I've got a gift from the Meat Dimension, which is a...
Ooh.
You definitely didn't see it pass me. It's a nice pale ale from Driftwood Brewing.
Nice. Oh, I love Driftwood. It's so good.
It's great. That's going to be on my glasses for the rest of the stream. Cheers.
Cheers, my friend. I got a gift that I've already opened from the what's it called?
The council?
Yeah, the council. Yeah, the council. I mean, I'm the lead of the council, but it's like when you arrange your own birthday presents. You know what I mean? You're just like, that's what I want. Get on it. Every year. Yeah, I mean, I've been married way too long to not be buying my own birthday presents. I mean, come on. Right?
Fair.
Yeah, but so we got a wide, a wonderful variety of cool things to show this week. We got some previews, some leaks. We got some, not leaks, like, get off my back, GW. We're not leaking anything that you haven't shown, just to be clear. But something did leak, and then they were like, oh crap, we better show it to everyone. And then they showed us an extra something, just to give something to the Stormcast players too. But yeah, we got some faction focuses and lovely things to talk about. So yeah, and thanks for joining us. Nick is hyped about his wonderful dino children. I am also a proud dino papa, and I am very excited for them too. I think they're...
I painted some scales that were like draped on a stone horn recently. Does that count? Can I be a part of the bandwagon?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Honestly, it shocks me, it still shocks me how popular Seraphon are. Like, it shouldn't, because they're lizards riding freaking dinosaurs with, lasers on their backs and stuff. It's the most awesome idea they've probably ever had. And, unfortunately, I have to include... Skaven are always number one. Always number one in my heart, right? But, it's crazy how popular they actually are. I think it's possible that Seraphon are the most popular faction in the game. Just based off of, the Facebook stuff and everything else. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a band called Ninja Sex Party?
Ninja Sex Party?
Yes.
I have not heard of them, but they sound awesome.
They make a song, they made a song called Dinosaur Laser Fight, or Dinosaur Laser Party, or something like that.
Okay.
And that is the theme song for Seraphon in my mind. And
watch it. I'm going to watch it someone remind me, because that sounds amazing. I used to watch, so there was this, I might have talked about it a long time ago, but when I was a kid, there was this G.I. Joe takeoff show called Dino Riders, and it was basically G.I. Joe where I guess they went back in time or something like that, and they basically attach lasers and ride dinosaurs into battle versus the bad guy faction. And I don't remember it that well, but I loved it. It was awesome. And yeah, I think about that sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, that does sound awesome. Also, Matthew H., Jim Skaven, Balls, welcome to the chat. Thanks for joining us tonight. Good to see you.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for joining us, guys. We've got a lot of exciting things. Do you see the rumor engine?
I did. And I think I'm going to play into the Rob trope, and I think this is actually Skaven.
Yes. Okay.
I think this is some sort of scryer contraption of some kind. Or a hero.
I could definitely see that. It does have it kind of reminds me of a bird, but I'm hoping, I don't know, the current Arch Warlock, or which is Ikit Claw, it's more like General Grievous, where it's more aggressive, you know what I mean? But this is very small. Because if you look at the pigment of the metal pigment, and granted, I know it's GW pigment, right? It's GW metal paint. So they're big no matter what. But even with that in mind, the edge highlighting is so thick on there. I think this is very small. So if it is a Skaven thing, I'm hoping it's like some kind of like scryer mechanical like familiar. Like, you know what I mean? Like some kind of like mechanical actual rat like sitting on the shoulder of like the scryer vermin lord or something like just totally wacky like that.
Yeah, I do. I think what it looks like to me is like a rat that has like a prosthetic leg. It's like a mechanical.
That was my original thought. Like that's where I was going with the Arch Warlock thing, but it looks a little bit small for that. But I mean, I guess granted, how big is the leg of a rat? Yeah, maybe. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I think you might be right.
It's like the little. Yeah, if you look right above where the joint is, that kind of like starts pointing like this, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, you can see that there's like leather with like some like weave, like
it looks very rudimentary. So I definitely think it's not 40K. It looks too like not what do you call it? Like techno punk kind of like, you know what I mean? Like not very technological. Like really. No, technopunk is not the word I was thinking of. But anyway, putting that aside. Steampunk? Yeah, a little steampunky. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't look like.
I don't know.
Yes, actually, diesel punk is the word I was thinking of, where it's like I don't know, like MacGyvered together kind of feel to it, you know? Yeah. Argent Loop, thanks for joining us. Or Lupe? Probably Lupe. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing people's names. Meet Dimensional Man and Ratman meet together once more. It's true. We have I don't know why we choose to, like why do we always meet on Tuesdays? Is it because we do the podcast?
No, I think it's just happens at random, and then we decide.
It's just destiny.
Yeah, it's just destiny.
Okay, I like that.
Yep. It's just like that scene from Predator where like Arnold and what's his name? The actor's name again?
Apollo Creed.
Carl Weathers, is it?
Carl Weathers is, yeah, sorry, I was calling him Apollo Creed.
And then they just like do like that's what we do, except I have to be gentle with an ogre arm against a rat arm.
That's true. Sure. That's true.
Snaps your arm in half. Oh, I'm sorry.
I used to be strong once upon a time. Today's topic, how to make ogres and Skaven cool as heck. They already are. That's true. We're just like, how can we make them amazing? Oh, they already are?
We're done.
Yep. Job well done.
Yeah. Does anyone
in
the chat have any predictions about what today's rumor engine is?
Yeah.
I haven't seen anybody pipe in yet.
Yeah, we usually get like a bunch of guesses right away. Or guesses right away? Guess.
A bunch of guess. The fashion brand.
Yeah. Exactly. We have guests in. Everyone's a guest in the chat. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. We've had this date from the beginning. Yet, I don't know. I think it has to be, at the very least, it's definitely AoS. And it has that like dog leg look to it. You know what I mean? Like the extra joint that goes forward. I don't know what that's actually called.
I'm not sure either. Relish says it looks like a mechanical chicken, which I think confirms the poultry faction in AoS.
Yeah.
If there were mechanical
I thought that was
chickens,
I thought that was
Grand
Zeech.
Would they be? That's true. Actually. Yeah. So this is Zeech, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Honestly, like originally, like my first thought was bird as well. Maybe it's because the dog leg, like double ankle thing is so low down. I don't know.
What if this is an arm? And it's just like sideways and it's like reaching out, like clawing like this.
It is kind of like photoshopped out in kind of a weird way.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Perfection hype. Hell yeah.
I mean, I like birds. I like chicken. What if it's like
destruction is now Grand Alliance meat? You've got beef, pork, and now poultry. Absolutely. Unfortunately, we have we've given up goat. We've lost one.
Oh. That's true. It's a sad day.
Sad day. Sad day.
They went over to the dark dimension that is the old world.
Yep. Well, we got him for another year.
That's true.
For another year.
Exactly. Who doesn't like goat? Is it everyone?
I just had some.
Is it actually everyone though?
I like goat.
Do you? Yeah.
Actually,
I had it so long ago. I don't really remember.
Well, tonight I made I started like shopping at the Persian market for like produce and stuff like that because it's just way cheaper.
Yep.
And they had like a mixture of ground beef and goat.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was super cheap.
Yeah.
I wonder why. But basically I bought that just because I was like, it's nice to have for meat sauces or whatever, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be just beef. And I made like a Thai peanut stir fry tonight with it, which sounds even weirder, but it was really good. Like it was like spicy, peanutty, and like there's like some like curry paste in there, like some like sautéed. It was like beef and goat with garlic and stuff like that. I liked it a lot. So,
I mean, as someone who went to school in another country and was forced to eat crazy things, that would like most people would probably not be into. I'm totally like I have no judgment for any kind of mystery meat. The only thing I've ever turned down was dog, and I grew up with dogs. I've had dogs my whole life, and I know that they're farmed and whatnot in other countries, and it's not like you might think about it like a different thing, but I can't do it, man. They're man's best friend. But like I've had stuff that like it would probably affect other people in the same way. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't judge. But anyway, I don't know how we got onto this. It's the show about nothing. Yeah, I don't know. A part of me hopes that this is Skaven, and a part of me is like, because like the thing is now that I know I'm getting a bunch of stuff, I'm kind of just like, I know it's going to be good. Like,
yeah, you're like, sure, add it onto the pile.
Yeah, add it on. Like this might be, and if it's not, that's okay because I know I'm about to get like a huge release over the summer and then the fall. So,
yeah,
bushmeat.
Skaven says in Africa there's a thing called bushmeat. Highly recommend. We actually have that here too, but I think it's probably different.
Yeah.
That was a bad joke. Sorry.
Moving right along. Alex says he won't eat octopus. I actually don't eat octopus either anymore. Just because
smart.
They're so smart. Like we don't understand how smart they are, and they're my favorite animal. And you know what I mean? Like I'll eat squid, but they're dumb as hell.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you're too dumb, you die. Sorry. Long pork.
Although, like, apparently pigs are like smarter than dogs or something. Some people say.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard they're actually quite smart.
But at the end of the day, it really is a cultural thing, But
100%.
Yeah. But then the other thing too is like when you're over, like especially when you're younger and you're like doing homestays and stuff like that. When you're in a foreign country, like you kind of have to when and roam it. You know what I mean? Like you can't just like. I don't know. It's like I think it's something I feel kind of strongly about at the same time, but because I've had some. Anyway, I won't go into that. But you're hyped for the launch box, and you don't play either faction, but that is a box of palette cleansers for a hot minute. I mean, I do obviously play one of the factions, and even though like me and Carson have been kind of vocal about like really wishing that they would start doing starter boxes with something other than Stormcast. And like we've been saying this since way before we know there was going to be a huge call in the line, right? But like having said all of that for like a year and a half now, right? Like that Stormcast box is fire, And actually that dovetails really nicely into this reveal. So we got the Brood Terror reveal, right? And so something that a lot of people don't know is that the first time I saw a Hell Pit Abomination, like, I love Skaven, obviously. They're my favorite. They're the reason I got back into wargaming, blah, 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 blah. But the first time I saw a Hell Pit, I was like, gross. And then I gradually warmed up to it. This is like 8 years ago, right? And I bought one used, and it was put together by, a monkey with severe brain damage, using only their elbows because their hands were cut off. It was a really sad story, and the gaps in it, they were so wide, like you could stick like rope between them or something like that. Anyway, so fixing the whole thing. It was painted with enamel paints too, so like it wouldn't even take primer at first. It was a nightmare. So like I had like and there was pieces missing, so I had to like make a conversion just to make it look even normal at all. And but eventually I warmed up to it, right? And this thing too, the Brood Terror, I had the same reaction, but instead of it being like for like 5 months, it was for like 5 minutes. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, I'm a little disappointed in it. This isn't what I was thinking about. But then like 5 minutes went by, I was just like finding more and more that I liked about it. That it was an amalgamation of Scryer and Molder, and the weapon it's dragging on the ground is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Like, I didn't even spot it initially because they're so bad at taking pictures of their models, obviously. Like, this is a well-known fact now. But that, like, chain thing with, like, the hooks that's dragging along the ground, that's so sick. Like, I hope it does a grip of damage with that thing. But yeah, what did you think about this thing, the Brood Terror?
The Brood Terror, I thought it was, it's visually, like very nice, but
right.
I kind of get the same feeling about it as I do about like sometimes. Okay, I'm gonna say The Hobbit actually is like a movie, a blockbuster movie.
Okay,
you look at it and you're like, this has an amazing cast, this is amazing visual effects, this is a great universe. But everything mashed together, something about it just doesn't work for me, and that's kind of how I feel about this. Where it's like every individual piece of it, I'm like, that's fantastic, this looks amazing, but the whole thing is just like I just can't quite. I don't really see a silhouette for it. It's just kind of like a ball of stuff.
That's true.
And I get that's what they're going for, but it doesn't quite work for me, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan.
That's fair. I kind of don't like the head of it. The head looks a little bit like...
Which one?
Yeah, actually, either one, to be honest. But the bigger of the two heads is my least favorite part about it. It's kind of like, it feels like it's doing the same thing as the Hell Pit Abomination. You know what I mean? In a certain way. But I'm hoping that there's another head in there too. Because it looks like it's big. Like, I won't show the leaked pictures. I don't, just in case there's, someone at GW has a problem with that. Because originally it was like, I think it was from like the Battle Tome or something like that, or something leaked. There was a picture of them next to Storm Fiends and Rat Ogres, and this thing is big. It's like at least twice the size, I think, of a Storm Fiend.
I was gonna say, like, just looking at this like a passing glance, if I was looking at it on the tabletop and if it was anywhere near the size of a Storm Fiend, I'd probably just think it is a Storm Fiend. But
well, that's it. That's kind of like my point, right? Is that it's living in the same spot as it's just basically like a giant Storm Fiend. And so it kind of lives in that spot. It reminds me a lot because like if you look at the Hell Pit, I'm working on one right now. And like if you look at the Hell Pit, it's got like a giant like spiky scryer metal thing shooting out of its mouth. It's got a giant flaming brazier spike over here. It's got a bunch of metal crap on its back. You know what I mean? It's kind of living in that same spot. Now, it's, this was one thing that was leaked, and it's fine. Like I'm still enjoying it. Obviously, I'm gonna get one. I'm not like, who are we kidding here? I do hope that you can at least build it though, like with a couple of different weapon options and maybe a different head option, because that way it'll just add variety to like, because if like some people are gonna run more than one of these things, right? And so you just want that variety of aesthetic, but you know, yeah, I'll definitely buy one. But yeah, I'm like Jim Skaven says, you know, I'm mostly going to be. It won't be my priority to get and paint right away, though, for sure. You know, but yeah. So anyway, they also showed. Oh, actually, so I guess we'll show the back real quick. I mean, like, yeah, their sculpting is just out of this world. What's funny though is if you look at this picture here, its arm looks so small. It looks hilariously small. But yeah, my favorite part is definitely this weapon it's dragging. That's just amazing to me. Like that, I want more of that. I wish the Storm Fiends had something like that. But, and I guess this is going to be like a flamethrower. I'm not really sure.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But
I like the other views of it a little bit better, actually.
Me too. That's actually something that someone else brought up in the WhatsApp group. Was like, at first they were kind of like, blech, and then they looked at the other views and they're like, oh, I kind of get it now, you know. But
I guess that's something that, you know, like GW definitely doesn't have an easy task ahead of them as far as like picking the one angle to sell the model. Just because, like, oftentimes it really takes you, like, either seeing it on the tabletop or you, like, actually holding it into your hands to truly understand, like, the silhouette of a model and what it is.
yeah,
so, yeah, that's
it's true. I think if they, I agree with you, but I also think that they never pick the right view. You know, it's like you could have picked like so many things. I get that they're like, in this case they want to show this, they want to make sure that you can see that there's this other guy grafted onto it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, you know, it's cool. I'll give it like a solid, and I mean, like, I'm a very, what's the word? I'm a very strict grader on Skaven, as you would imagine. And I give this a 7. Maybe a 7.5. Like somewhere in there, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. And like the new Clawlord on Brood, or on Nash, on Knobbeast, rather. That one I'd give probably like I'd give that one like a 9.5, you know? Like, I think that one is, if it has like any kind of variety to the sculpt at all, it'd probably take it up to a 10. Anyway, so we also, because they didn't want the Stormcast to feel, you know, left out, they also revealed this new model that doesn't have legs.
Poor guy. They
Poor
even named
guy.
him Torn Ass, too. Split him right in half.
He's actually a character that I was weirdly, like, I'm not super well read on Stormcast novels and such because I don't, you know, I'm not super into them, right? But I did read, I think it's called Plague Garden or something like that, and it's like a Nurgle Stormcast book, and this guy's in there. He's one of the main characters, and his story is really cool because it's like something that we haven't seen before, where he was a Nurgle like Plague Lord or something like that. It's been years. It's been like 5 years since I read the book, and then he's redeemed. I think he gets hit by Gal Maraz or something like that, and he just gets the chaos blasted out of him, and now he's a Stormcast. He's a named Stormcast. So them giving him like an actual model is super cool, and I really love his Jumonji like style spear with the blades out the side. Like, I think that's so sick. Like,
This is a fantastic model. I think he actually already had a model though. Corners
Did he?
to Redeem. Yeah, he did. It was in like a classic archer pose.
Oh,
where he
shoot.
Was
that from the
flying.
last edition?
I think it was a while back.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure it was. So I think we have 2 models for this guy now, which is kind of neat actually.
Yeah.
Where the other model, he was like fully armored. I don't think he had any skin showing whatsoever. I actually like this model a lot more though. Like, this is really unique as far as like the Stormcast range goes.
Yes.
I really like that you could point at this guy and be like, that's Tornus. Easy.
Yeah.
It's not just like some random foot hero. It doesn't have like Fire Slayer syndrome. Like, it's super unique and really, really cool looking. So And I think he has a generic version of him too, right? Where you
He
can like,
does.
put the helmet on.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's just the helmet. Like it can also be used to represent Tornus the Redeemed, a legendary knight of zeros. Usually the no mask is the non-generic guy. So I'm hoping that that's the case here. Oh, and then the regular guy just has like a spear with like a hilt on it. Right? Whereas...
Oh yeah, it's a little different. It's not quite
Yeah.
as spiky.
Yeah, the other guy's got the Jumonji. Yeah. You'll see it a lot in like Japanese spears and whatnot. Jumonji means like the 10.
Okay, I keep thinking you're saying Jumanji, and I'm just like, Jack Black?
It's Jack Black. How dare you? There you go. There you go. Yeah. Jumonji means like, because like the kanji for 10 is just a cross. It's just like a simple plus sign, right? And so they call that a Jumonji yari, like a spear that's got the 10 symbol, I guess, 10 kanji or whatever. You know what I'm saying? The letter. I know. God dang it, Carson. You piece of...
For full clarity, Rob has like, lived in Japan and he speaks fluent Japanese, and he's not a weeaboo. I call him that because it bothers him.
It so does. Yeah. I went to high school there in '97. Like it's like before the word was ever created. Moving right along. I think this model is awesome, and I did like that you pointed out that his... maybe this is... What's the difference?
Between the generic and the other one?
Well, yeah, because there's another guy down below. Oh, he's painted in the... I get it now. In the Hollow Knights, totally. I wonder if he can be... I think he was in Hollow Knights. Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
I think he is, yeah. I wonder if they're gonna oh no, factions aren't gonna be a thing anymore, so it's not gonna matter.
No,
they just have like battle formations now.
Right. So I guess you can paint things however you. I mean, you always could really, but like.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. Well, actually, kind of. You know what I mean? Like my buddy Rob, not me, obviously, but like he's been on the channel, but he plays Hammers of Sigmar. He loves Hammers of Sigmar. He's always rocked out with them, and like he plays them no matter what because he loves their lore and everything else, right? But like before, like they would be locked into, like you couldn't have, what would it be, like Bastion? Oh no, I don't know. I don't know Stormcast very well, but like, what's another example where they have multiple characters faction locked? That must exist.
Or it's Stormcast.
Oh yeah, there you go. Soulblight. That's a perfect example. So like you've got Chadakar or Radakar the Beast. He's like faction locked to Virkos, and then you've got Neferata, who's faction locked to Legion of Blood. I guess now they can function in the same army, and it's not going to be a problem. Is that?
I think so. Yeah.
I hope so. Like, who cares? Right? They're part of the same army. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be a lot better.
I think so too. At least from a rules standpoint, it'll be nice. I
Right?
understand some people want the thematic nature of having sub-factions and stuff like that and kind of sticking to it, but this is there's like a super competitive side to the game that just doesn't care about that whatsoever. And I think that if GW is going to be trying to balance stuff for that, then that's not such a big deal.
Well, the other problem too. Damn you, Alex.
Rob the Weeb. Yep. Actually, he prefers otaku.
You're all terrible people. Shoot, I can't even remember what I was going to say. That blasted all logic from my mind. The sheer stupidity of it.
Your anger.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I was going to say it created more problems though than I think it solves. For like, I don't mean the new ones. I mean the old way, right? in that like, like you had like Usharan, right? And he has the abhorrent keyword, and then they made rules for it where it says like in blister skin it just says if they are an abhorrent, then they get the priest keyword as well when you take blister skin, right? And it was kind of like, and it was confusing for a lot of people. Like there was arguments about it forever about whether or not he got the priest keyword, and it explains at the start of those like the sub faction sort of explanation area, but like I don't know, like it just created so many problems. It's just like it's not worth it. Like if you want to run it, if you want to run pure Legion of Blood and you don't want to take Virkos, that's totally up to you. But like making these weird, intricate sort of problems out of it, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, and it, like even like if you take Usharan just as an example by himself, he's Hollowmorn, right? And his faction thing is knights, and knights get something. So he doesn't get anything from being in Hollowmorn. So at that point, it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, it doesn't, yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of deciding the theme for you. Whereas I think that if someone really wanted to like stick to a particular sub-faction, they could just structure their army around that.
Exactly.
Current rules anyway.
Yeah.
I also agree with what Delicious Relish says in the chat, which is no WYSIWYG and no demanding people stick to a theme unless everyone's in on it. Unless everyone's in on it, it gets kind of gatekeepy. So that makes a lot of sense.
I totally agree. And it's like, yeah, no, I totally agree. That's at the end of the day. And he also said earlier, this is a hot take, but I do love when they add little tree bits to the base for you to base with, but basing it is my least favorite part of the model. Part of models. Yeah.
I feel like I've said this like 5 times recently, and never on stream, but
okay.
I would, if someone asked me to paint their army for them, I would say no, because it would take too long, and I feel like it wouldn't be worth either of our times. If someone asked me to base their entire army, I would say hell yes. Like,
wow. Yeah.
I love basing I love making custom basing and stuff like that. That's like my favorite thing to do, because it's never like nearly as long to paint, and you get to do like a little bit of sculpting, and like I don't know, it's just fun. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I like it too, but I do like I think the worst thing that they've ever created is flight stands. Is that something we can all just universally agree on? Like, and so if you don't like the flight stand, that's fine. You can just cut off his leg, if you want to like make your own thing and you don't want to, use this little pillar thing that's sticking out there, you can just cut him off, do a little bit of whatever, and make your own thing. Or you can make a flight stand. Like there's so many things you could do, but flight stands are the bane of my existence. Like my whole IDK army basically it was supposed to be on flight stands, and I just bought a bunch of old Azerite Ruin terrain kits and chopped them up with like a bolt cutter for some of it because they're so hard to cut apart sometimes, and I wanted them kind of like torn looking. Anyway, so no, I kind of Carson, please base all my minis. You walked into that.
If you hand deliver them to me in Canada,
yeah,
then I will help you base.
He'll actually do it. And I just want to point out,
if you give me like 600 clan rats, I'm not doing that. But
well, I just wanted to point out too, you never said you were going to do it well. You just said that you would do it. So
this army is walking through a tide of Elmer's glue.
I was gonna go even
paper clips.
Yeah, I was gonna say even easier than that. You just get like a bunch of like tacky, like glue tack spray. You just spray it and then you just throw sand on it and you're done. That's it based.
Yeah,
and the sand might or may not get all over the model as well. So
it will.
Oh, it will. We'll make it our mission.
It's a guarantee. I will say though, I don't like basing after the model's been like glued to the base. I prefer to like make the base separately and then put the model on it. But yeah.
I do both. Like sometimes it's a lot. Like I finally I've had these like painted or whatever for ages, and I finally am doing the bases. But like this endless spell is kind of like coming up out of the ground, so it kind of makes sense. And some models it's just easier, but I definitely prefer basing after. Like my hell pit, whereas like I've started it, but it's just got like it's got a couple of tactical rocks and some cobblestone and swamp bits. But
for my Slaves to Darkness, because I like make the mud mixture myself, what I'll do is I'll like do the green stuff roller to get like the cobblestone, and then I'll like make the mud around it, and then I'll actually put the model on it while it's drying, so that it looks like the boot is like inset in the mud a little bit.
Totally. I do the same exact thing. And it's hard sometimes to wait the right amount of time. And for this one, I did that exact, because he's got like several different things, and I ended up cutting off the where he's got his arm on, this like pillar thing, and then I added my own green stuff around it, and I molded my own green stuff. But then to make it like go flat onto the cobblestone was really hard. So I then had to go back and add more basing paste and different things like that to get the rest of him up on, so it's on the right level. But yeah, but I did end up enjoying it. I think it's one of those things where you tend to. I'm just gonna scroll up to the rat guy because he's cooler. Just because he's a Skaven and he's a rat. I think it's one of those things where like basing at first is really intimidating. Like it really is intimidating at first. But once you like, I think you can turn a corner where it gets really fun. You know what I mean? Where you just like, you know, enough little tricks and whatnot that you kind of get into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when we were building my display board, that was a lot of fun too. Like just going through that whole process of like setting everything up, building the box. And then when I got home, like I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and it just kind of worked in the end. And then we did the resin pour, and yeah, it was great.
That's why I volunteered for it. You were like, I think I might make a new thing, and I got this idea about how to make a carry case out of it, and I was like, sign me up. I want to help you. Did you think that was weird at the time at all? We never talked about it, obviously.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I was just happy for the help. Also, how's it going, Pat?
Yo, Pat.
Good to see you.
Your last 2 Vermin Lords arrived today. My Vermin team is now complete until a new one comes out. Nice. Yeah. I just finished my Warbringer, like, you know, slightly converted so that he could be Screech if I want him to be. And yeah, I was like, I had this idea for like, you know, the fur and the weapons and whatnot, and it did take a lot more work to get it where I wanted it, but I'm super happy with it. I think I put them on Instagram, so if you follow us on there, I think it should be on the Instagram page, and I definitely uploaded it to the different Discords and such. But I've never made a display board for myself, but
I mean, you don't go to tournaments, which is like the primary use for them, right?
That's it. But I want to do it though. Like I weirdly kind of want to do it for some reason.
It's a lot of fun. Like it's tons of fun for sure. If not for a tournament, then like just to keep on display in your house. Because like I remember I have a 1,000-point Slaves to Darkness display board that I made that I knew fit inside of an IKEA D12 shelf. And the nice thing is I can just keep it in there and put the Slaves to Darkness models on there, and that's like at the very top. So it's nice, yeah. It's
so cool. And the your story background thing that you printed out. Yeah. I really hope you get back into Slaves to Darkness with the new edition. Like I really want you to finish painting your army, and like, you know, like I kind of hope that like that they're, because like, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on, but like we only saw like a hint of what their rules are, as we are seeing for each faction focus rather. And I'm really hoping that you get into them, because like that army, like obviously your ogres are amazing and everything, and they're really well painted, but your Slaves to Darkness are special. Like each guy is his own thing, you know? So yeah, I really hope you.
I hope I feel passionately about slaves. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I think it would be even better. Sorry. Slaves to Darkness. Also, Hello, Matt. You actually didn't have to clarify who you were. I know your moniker, your tag.
That's
Nice to
a
see ya.
fantastic.
Yeah. Dune
Yeah.
fans in the house.
Oh yeah.
Heck yeah. Him and I shared a couple dinners together actually in Atlanta, WCW.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he kind of just became part of our group, which was awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's
If he's
I
a
don't know
fan
if
of
you're okay with
Dune,
me saying your name,
I-
but he also he has like this like really awesome homemade gut plate.
oh, I wait. Is he the guy who's the picture? Did I send you his picture?
Not him. That's not the one.
Oh, okay. Because there's a
This is
guy
cooler,
there's a picture of a guy who's wearing a gut plate with his shirt off in a tournament that's like the join part thing for the WhatsApp group for ogres, right? I sent it to Carson the other day.
Yeah.
You never responded to my message. We need to make you one.
I'm not taking my shirt off at an event, but yes.
No one said you had to take your shirt off, but we need to make you a gut plate.
All right.
And you need to wear it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Oh, and
Yeah,
by the way, just real quick, thanks, Pat, for the kind words about the Warbringer. It was definitely a huge labor of love. It's like an idea I've been rocking with for like 6 months, maybe more. So it was cool to finally put pen to paper. And I don't know if you heard me, but obviously Mad Mentat is a good person and an awesome individual because they're a fan of Dune, and that's all I need to know. Yeah.
Something just faded in and out of the meat dimension behind me. Oops. Yeah. If I take mine off, will you? Okay. All it takes is one.
All it takes is just like a slight amount of peer pressure, and you're just like, well,
Yeah.
if one person's doing it, I guess that means I've got to do it too.
Exactly. When you put it that way,
Yeah.
it's not peer pressure when it's your turn, okay?
Yeah. I've never heard of that, but I agree.
Bumping into people in an event, be like, hey, peer pressure, shirts off. Hey, peer pressure, shirts off.
Yeah. I mean, if everyone has their shirt off, it will also
No, I'm
help.
the weird one.
Exactly. Also, it's like like how sometimes people complain about like people not wearing deodorant and stuff, but that's like a natural form of air conditioning, right?
Yeah. That kind of
get
happened
naked.
at, not the deodorant thing. That kind of happened at LVO at like the timeshare that we were in. It had like a jacuzzi hot tub thing. And then at like 2 or 3 a.m. or something, we all just decided it's shirts off time with Bud Lights in the jacuzzi. And I was like, all right, this is happening.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
It's great.
When in Rome, man.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe we'll move along. I will come back to my pretty that is this brood terror.
It's the cholesterol demon. No, no, you can't. You'll never take me alive.
Okay, so wait, is the brood terror the cholesterol demon?
Oh, I think they're talking about the thing that popped up behind me for a second.
Oh. I see. Oh yeah, because it's invading the meat dimension. Yeah.
Joker asked if you're going to the Tacoma Open. Yes, or at least myself and Kenrick are going to be there, as well as like 5 or 6 others in our club, I think. So
It's
we're
a
gonna be showing
big
up in
tournament.
force, for sure.
Absolutely. Man, we didn't talk. Maybe we did talk about it, but like, man, it's so crazy how, like, it comes. The box releases on the 13th, and then it's like what, the 18th or 19th or something like that is the first tournament. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know one of the Dale in our club is hosting like a Garden Hammer thing the Sunday before that, so that we
Right.
can kind of like all do some games and stuff like that, and kind of get to know our lists. And then 4 of us, Matthias, Eric, Henrik, and myself, are going to be like carpooling down to Tacoma as early as we can, so that we can hopefully get some games in on the Thursday, because you actually don't have to submit your list until like right before the event starts. So we're going to be like, okay, we're going to try and figure out exactly what the list is that's going to work for us. And so
that's a great idea.
Yeah, we're trying to get as many practice games in as possible.
Oh, Pat says he wanted to join, but the girlfriend called dibs. Well, we got to respect dibs. We're not animals.
Yep. It's the law of the land.
It's true. Can't wait to give everyone a 12-inch free charge with my temp dice. Sorry. I started to read that, and I was like, did I make a mistake in reading this out loud before like reading it in my head first? And then...
Can't wait to give everyone a 12-inch. Oh,
yeah, exactly. Sheesh. Okay. Moving right along. We did get a preview of these coins. I don't know about you, but god dang it. Like, I really want the Skaven ones. I don't know if they're double-sided or not, but even if they're double-sided, but still, so you can get either a set of these like objective markers or whatever you want to use them as, and then these are supposed to be the what do you call it? Like the command point sort of tokens and whatnot. I think they're both awesome. I really, really like the coins. But I'm still not ordering directly from GW. Like, I really want these things. Like, I'm kind of almost embarrassed to admit how much I think these things are awesome and I want them. But I'm kind of like weirdly, it was kind of like this, kind of moment. Because, like, despite the fact that I really want these things, I'm like, I'm still not ordering directly from GW. I'm still supporting my friendly local game store. And I'm not telling anyone else to do this, right? But it was kind of like, like nothing else can ever tempt me again. You know? This is the only thing. Like, I thought this might happen, and I was kind of worried about it, you know? But the time came, and it passed, and I'm still ordering from my friendly local game store, and I feel good, you know? The monkey's off my back.
Good. I'm happy for you, Rob.
Thank you. And you do get something cool if you do order quickly enough, rather, from your local game store. You get like a little like journal, which I think is also really awesome, to be honest, because you can use it to like take notes for your, you know, learning the game and learning your army and tournaments and stuff like that. And it's thematic and yeah, kind of cool.
This is pretty cool. I'm probably just going to be drawing dicks in it while I play against my opponent, but that's, you know, I mean, I respect that other people are going to be writing down like battle tactics and plans and stuff like that.
But
I might be drawing mean caricatures of my opponents, actually, I think.
Okay.
And then like arrows pointing to them that say like bum and stuff like that.
Well, but the other thing too, though, yeah, well, like I was going to say, you know, like doing notes about, you know, your games and whatnot, learning, right? Drawing dicks. Little taco girl. Right? Or
why not both?
Why not? And frankly, why not all three? You know, mean caricatures go really well with dicks. I've always found, personally. And then notes, you know, like it'll be like a mnemonic device to like help you remember them. You do a caricature and then a penis, or maybe a caricature with a penis. And then underneath you write your notes, and that'll help you remember. You're like, oh yeah, that was Jim Bob. And I, you know, forgot to save it.
The 8-inch.
Yeah, with the 8-inch. And I forgot to save a CP on my for my charge that I really needed to make. You know, now I'll remember because Jim Bob.
And I'll say thanks, Jim Bob, as I'm pawing at the caricature in the book.
Yeah.
Remembering our game.
Yep. You know, you'll get like grease from the fries you're eating on there. You know.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Welcome, by the way, to I saw, who did I see? Oh, I saw Robin. That's who it was. And Bahamut too. I might have a week off, but we'll see. Nice. Heck yeah. That would be super cool. And Ladivigus. Wow, we got a bunch of people A bunch of regulars showing up. Thanks, guys.
The gang's all here. Thanks,
Thanks,
Jim
Jim.
Bob, for the 12-inch experience.
Yeah, it was an 8-inch. Get it right, Nick. Jeez. Jim Bob, what a homie. The 12-inch
Thanks, Jim
experience. Although I guess technically he could be referring to himself. But yeah. And if so, kudos. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you.
Thanks.
So we got some faction focuses, Monsieur Carlson.
We did. Yeah, I think so. We kind of had a chat about this before
We did.
we started the stream. It's like, I don't know if the people in the chat feel the same way, but it's like just not as fun of an experience for us to just like go, dirty tricks. Cool boys will use whatever devious means they can gain the upper hand over default. Like you can't we can't just be reading it out and engaging with you guys. We've all kind of already seen them, I think, is the big thing. So I think maybe what'll be best is if we just kind of focus on like the cool things that we found, like general thoughts on stuff rather than just like completely reading out of nowhere.
Yeah. We won't go over each war scroll. We'll talk about each like their army abilities, because that doesn't take very long. And then just kind of give thoughts and whatnot. And then another thing that we talked about before the stream was, or should we mention this here or later? What do you think?
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. I saw shaven. Shaven. Jim Bob Skaven. That's right. Yeah.
That's the beat bumps and
Sorry,
stronger.
what were you saying?
He's a half-inch.
Yeah. Anyway,
oh man, that's going to be going through my mind like a limerick for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh man. Oh, by the way,
they're named Jim Bob.
By the way, I wanted to mention too, Carson released a new short on Monday. And it's I don't like my initial reaction was I think my favorite. Like now that it's settled, like I don't know that it's my actual favorite. Like there's been some great ones that he's made, but it's really good. The dice cam ran out of batteries like most of the way through our stream last Friday, and so yeah, Kenrick was changing it. And anyway, I've had since Monday every day, me, Annie, my son, like everyone has just had Darude like jamming through their brain the whole week. Yeah. I can't get it out of my head. Sell me on KB whilst knowing IG preview is coming tomorrow. Try it, Carson. Dude.
I don't think I can.
Yeah. I mean, that's an impossible task. No one's going to even try and do that. But to be honest, the KB preview is my favorite out of any of them this week. Spoilers. Oops. Apparently, I left Facebook open. So, I'm sorry.
That's good.
Yeah.
So which one do you want to talk about first?
I will.
KB first. It was the first one that.
Oh, was it?
First.
Then let's do that.
So.
Cool. Cunning but brutal. I thought it was Soul Blight, but I think you're right. Regardless, it doesn't matter. I'd love to start with Cruel Boys. We segue right in there, you know.
Yeah. Cruel Boys was June 13th, and then Soul Blight was the 14th. So.
Cool. Nice.
Cool Boys. Basically, the whole thing.
I have
this
army.
Boys,
yeah.
Oh yeah. Actually, do you want to just give like a synopsis of?
Oh no! I mean, let me please finish your thought. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay. I was going to say that so Dirty Tricks for Cruel Boys is the new battle trait. Previously was like kind of a boring, like almost nothing.
It was so bad. And and that was the upgraded version, because it started out even worse. Like if you go back and read what's in the actual book, it's crazy what an upgrade this is.
But so this kind of became like Cruel Boys' entire.
Yep.
It is their entire section of battle traits. It's their dirty tricks. Basically, the important thing is that you can only use one dirty trick per phase. Then there's like 4 of them that you can possibly use. And each time you use it, it gets like progressively harder to pull off. So the first time you do it, it's on a 2-up, and then a 3-up, 4-up, 5-up, and then 5-up for forever after that, which is kind of cool because like thematically, it's like you're getting wise to these tricky ogres tricky orcs that are trying to like mess with your plans and stuff like that. So it's cool that it becomes like less and less effective. So it feels like it's interesting on both ends. I think we're like, as a Cruel Boys player, you have like agency over how you introduce these like dirty tricks, and then as your opponent, you can also be anticipating them, knowing that they're going to get like less and less likely to happen as the game goes on. So I like it a lot.
Yeah, honestly, I think they couldn't have nailed this any harder, especially because like something that a lot of people are like I've seen a lot of complaints about the different faction focuses that we're getting, and they're not. I'm not saying they're all the same. They're all on equal footing. They're obviously not, right? But like this is we have to remember that we're looking at a part of the puzzle, and this is what we were kind of talking about before the stream as well. Was we're looking at a part of the puzzle, and so it's not everything, and I don't know. That's just something to keep in mind, I think. Because, yeah, you've heard stuff about ogres that really kind of set that into clarity.
Yeah. There's a lot of leaks and rumors circulating around that, like, I said this to Rob before as well, where it's like the only faction focus that really gave us an idea of what the army is going to be like is probably Sons of Behemoth, and that's because there's just so few rules and models in that army already, and they decided to show us all of the artifacts. Which is like crazy. Like they showed us more rules for that army than any other faction focus, and they have less models than any other faction has. So,
and it's like weird because like some of them like don't even get like a sub faction, or what are they called again?
Battle formation.
Battle formation. I know it's like it basically is a sub faction. Like I don't really understand. I guess they have to change the language because they're fundamentally changing in a certain way. But anyway, the battle formation for like Idnith, like there's a couple of armies that like weirdly just missing something that like everyone else got. But yeah, we're definitely looking at I feel singled out. Rob was my disappointment. No, actually, I understand. Actually, no, that was not directed at you at all, Ludivicus. I've seen a lot of complaining about Slaanesh because I'm in every Facebook group, so I can post battle reports in every Facebook group, and basically it kind of it actually stemmed from the Slaanesh, and people, everyone's gonna feel some type of way. Like I felt the same way about Gitz. That Ludivicus did. Because, like, immediately noticed, like, minus, like, half the amount of wounds on the squigs. And, like, it felt like it did, like, the Gitz one did feel like an overcorrection. But the Gitz one was, like, what, the third one we got? I think it was the third one we got.
The first destruction faction, yeah.
Yeah, it was in the first week. We didn't know anything at that point. We didn't realize that every faction the year after is going to be toned way down. Like, Flesh Eater Courts just got a freaking book, and now like most of their stuff is gone, and the only thing they kept was the least cool part about it was NDP, right? So like, we just didn't know at the time. That is not directed at you at all, Ludivicus, by the way. It's just basically me like seeing the reaction to the Slaanesh one, and then our buddy Eric in our local club Discord, he said like he's really always really funny about it, and he's always very positive about most of these kinds of changes. Like even like when they culled like half of his or most of his Stormcast army, he was just kind of like I wanted new models, so this is like how we get there, and so like he's always got like this positive attitude to the changes that GW makes, but his reaction to the Slaanesh, like people being upset about the Slaanesh one, was so funny, and that it was like something along the lines of like people that don't get it or whatever. That's fine. Like it cuts down on the riffraff or something like that. I can't remember how he put it. It was way funnier than that. And I was just like, it really is a great way of looking at it. Like, like I've got quite a few armies because of the channel, right? And some faction focuses I've been quite disappointed in, like the Gitz one. You know what I mean? And other ones I've been very pleasantly surprised by, like the IDK one. But, but a lot of that is just context. You know what I mean? And so, I'm just, that's the only reason. I was not singling you out, just to make sure that's super clear. Yeah, it had nothing to do with you, actually. Yeah. Sasquatch is, I like messing with Sasquatch, so turnabout is fair play. And I do like those commercials. Anyway, after all that, like, boilerplate nonsense, we'll dip down into the rules. So we've got the battle traits, which are the dirty tricks, and, there's more to it than that now. But anyway, so your army can use one dirty trick ability per phase, right? So it's locked to each phase. You can never use more than one per phase. The effect of a dirty trick ability is only applied if you make a successful dirty trick roll. The success of a dirty trick roll depends on the number of dirty tricks abilities your army has already used this battle round. So every battle round, they're quite reliable. The first one is a 2-up, then it goes to a 3-up, 4-up, 5-up, right? And you could still just get super lucky. You could just roll a 1, 2, 3, 4 and just fail it every time, right? But it's very fair, and if that happens, then you're an outlier and whatever, right? Okay. So once per turn, army, any charge phase, pick an enemy unit that charged this turn and is in combat with any friendly Cruel Boys units to be the target, then make a dirty trick roll. So again, if it's the first time you've done it, then it's on a 2-up, right? Effect, inflict D3 mortal damage onto the target. In addition, for the rest of the turn, the target's weapons cannot be affected by the charge +1 damage weapon ability. This is pretty good. Yeah.
It's very situational. There's not a lot of stuff that really or there is a lot of stuff that has charge +1 damage, like namely cavalry, but it's honestly kind of nice that some of them are situational, because it's like I don't have to use these. I don't want to have to use these every turn. So I have it's more likely that I can do them. What's it called? Sorry, it's more likely that I can do them if there's like less to choose from. So
yeah, I agree. This one probably won't be my first choice, but like it might really help you out. And you got to remember too that like it says any charge phase, and it says pick an enemy unit that charged this turn. So like under the old rules, that would only be in your turn, but now because you can charge in other people's turns, this works in both people's turns. Anyway, and now venom encrusted weapons. It says pick a friendly Cruel Boys infantry unit to be the target, so you can't do it on your big ballista kind of guy, but whatever. Then you make a dirty trick roll until the start of your next turn. This target's attacks score critical hits on unmodified hit rolls of 5-up instead of 6. So that's going to be like my go-to every time. Like I'm, that's like, because like it basically it used to be the shaman would hand this out, the Swamp Calla shaman, and now he might. That's true. Actually, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah. But the nice thing is, though, is that you don't have to babysit them anymore. Before it was like, okay, you're going to have a unit of Bolt Boys. They're going to be next to your shaman for the whole game. Sometimes maybe two units, or maybe 3. Like it wasn't great. And I like this better. I think this is much, even though you have to roll for it, whereas before you were handing it out. Anyway, and then we've got once per turn army, any movement phase. Any movement phase. So either one. Pick a friendly Cruel Boys infantry unit that has 10 or fewer models and is not in combat to be the target. Then make a dirty trick roll. Remove the target from the battlefield and set it up wholly within 3 inches of a terrain feature and more than 9 inches from all enemy units. This is so good. This is crazy.
This one's terrifying.
This is absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Previously, the issue was that you'd have Bolt Boys like sitting in a castle, And if you go anywhere within 24 inches of the castle, they're just going to mortal wound you to death. Now, this
Yep.
is just like, I shall teleport the bolt boys
To
behind you.
you. Yeah. Now,
And
you
then
can't...
counter shoot you.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. God dang. Yeah, and it's any movement phase. Now, it should be probably pointed out that you can no longer double reinforce anything,
Yeah.
including them, even in big yellers, which is what I was doing. But, yeah, this is really strong. Like, you know, I mean, you'll have to roll for it, and it will definitely be the second. No, not necessarily. If you're going at the top of the turn, you could be, because you can only do the venom encrusted weapons. Yeah. But most of the time, you know, it's going to be like a 3-up probably, because you're probably going to be putting the venom encrusted weapons on first.
There's kind of a sweet spot, because like if you, so let's say, regardless of if you go first or second in the first battle round, you give your bolt boys like venom encrusted weapons.
Yeah.
And then your opponent, if they go second, maybe takes a double, or you give them a double or something like that.
Right.
You can still use sneaking to like teleport behind, because venom encrusted weapons is until your next turn. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then it would still be on a 2-up to get sneaking.
Yes. Not always though, because like there is the double turn. There's like all sorts of stuff that could, but yeah, I think, you know, at least half the time you're probably going to be getting both on a 2-up, or it's possible. Yeah.
No, it does have to be wholly within 3 inches of a terrain feature and more than 9 inches from enemy units. So there's like a little bit of control you have over it. The only thing that is like kind of scary is it just says a terrain feature. So this faction
terrain. Yep. Yeah. And I mean, it's so good. Like it's so good. Anyway.
The last one's really good too.
It is. So once per turn, army, any combat phase, pick an enemy unit in combat with any friendly Cruel Boys units to be the target. Then make a dirty trick roll. The target has strike last for the rest of the turn. So, like, yeah, I mean, that's so good. Yeah. Now the question, though, that I have is Kragnos a Cruel Boys unit in this army? Because they're getting rid of a lot of the whole, bless you, faction stuff. I don't think so, right?
No, I think he is, because Kragnos has the Ogre Mod Tribes keyword for the Ogre book. So I think he does get it.
Oh God, yes. Kragnos Dominos, he's coming back to me, baby.
Just handing out strike last.
Yeah, it's just like you might even just like forego the sneak in and just be like, yeah, I just kind of want to have a 3-up, you fight last. You know? Oh man. Yeah, that seems good. It seems like it is delicious. And it's possible that Bolt Boys won't even have crit mortal on their shooting attack anymore.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, I hope they do. It would be weird if they didn't. But there's other ways of toning them down, to be honest. Maybe it'll be on the wound roll. Like there's so many different ways of making it far less.
Yes, I mean, there's tons of different. Like we've seen that a lot of shooting right now is just like just not as far range.
Yeah. And they were already pretty short. They're like 12 inches. So
yeah,
even if you're teleporting.
The Warp Lightning Cannon War Scroll.
Yep.
Was that Mortal Wound still?
It is Mortal Wound still. It's on a hit roll. So like it's not like roll a power roll and like just do 12 mortal wounds. Yeah. It's like, yeah.
But it has like crit mortal, right? And then you can overcharge it to get crit mortal on 5s as well or something.
It's basically if it hits.
Oh, no, if it hits, that's right.
Yeah, so it's on a 4-up. If it hits, you get a mortal. And then you can give it like +1 to hit, and then you're doing them on 3s. But yeah.
Yeah. Justin Sloan says, I imagine Bolt Boys will have auto wound. That's interesting. I could see that too.
I could see that.
Like, it wasn't like their regular shooting attack was like any slouch either. I think it was like, Rend 2, 2 damage or something.
I think it's Rend 1. 2 damage.
I'm pretty sure it is Ren 2.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm gonna check real quick, but I think it is. But
Like,
even
I
still,
never care, you know, 'cause I'm just fishing for mortals.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought it
Ren 1.
was.
You're right. my
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, because the Beast Skewer Kill Bow is Ren 2. But
Yeah, Warp Lightning Can's the only mortal wound shooting we've seen.
exactly.
Yeah, like it definitely seems like they're toning down on mortals in general. So I think that people are looking at these dirty tricks in respect to what Cruel Boys is now, where it's like, oh, good God, they're going to teleport a unit of like 6 Bolt Boys behind me, and they're going to do their like rapid fire from behind and do like, 10, 15 mortal wounds to me or something like that. Something crazy.
Yeah.
And I doubt that they would allow that.
Well, also, like, before, with the thing you have to remember is if you were doing the rapid fire thing, you had to have moved or be like within 3 inches of the enemy you're shooting at.
Yes.
So if a setup in AoS is not a move, so you might just not have access to the rapid fire, or maybe
we just currently know it. It's not a move.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Treated
Like
that way. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. They could, honestly, they should change that. Because then it's like if you get teleported, that should be at least as discombobulating as just running up the field slightly and then putting a gun. You know what I mean? Like I could definitely shoot a gun much better from like hoofing it up the field real quick and then pulling it up to my shoulder than just being teleported through space and time through chaos itself and then to pop out of nowhere. You're like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ. You're like holding your balls, you know what I mean? You're just like, God dang it. Like, that's like what it should feel like, right? Like, if anything, it should be much worse. So I actually hope that that's what they do. I hope that they move to the 40K style of things, but we'll see, you know. Like I just finished reading the Thanquol trilogy again, and I think in all like 3 books and 2 novellas that's in that big thick book, I think Thanquol only skitter leaps once because it's terrifying. Like, he's just like, I might turn into a blob of crap, but here goes nothing. You know what I mean? And, oh, thank God. They're all my parts are nothing mutated. Yeah. So.
I didn't actually know that. That's super cool. Yeah.
What that like.
Well, I didn't know that Skitter Leap was like something to be taken seriously by Skaven. Instead of it just being like a yay, it's teleporting time. Yeah. Well,
and it does kind of like go back into like the old world style of magic where like any spell you do might blow you up, turn you into a pile of goo, or like kill you and all your friends. Like, you know what I mean? Like it kind of, that was the magic that they were trying to, how dangerous it was. They're trying to like bring into the gameplay, but, yeah, it's pretty awesome. I won't spoil it, but it's a really good read. I know that I saw someone else found one. It's a paperback, but like now that they don't make them anymore, it's really hard to find. So
yeah. Justin says Thanquol is also probably a little high on Warpstone when casting it. That's true. It's kind of like dropping a tab of acid and taking a bus from like Langley to North Vancouver. It's like, oh God, I've seen so many things. Thank God I made it here alive. Instantly too.
Yeah. Well, it's very much like I've never done cocaine before, and I know people aren't going to believe me now, but like I've heard it described as that like when you do coke, you get like a lot of confidence, and so like when he snorts some snuff, some Warpstone snuff, or when he pops like a thing of actual Warpstone, he's just like, he gets crazy confident, and it's really awesome. And like there's constant things in that book where he's just kind of like yeah, I'm gonna stab those guys in the back, and then they're like, hey, you're trying to stab us in the back. He's like, what? And he's thinking in his own brain, like, I wasn't gonna do that, like, how dare they? You know what I mean? But he was literally just thinking about screwing them over and just like having the most vile and evil thoughts. It's amazing. They're really well written. C.L. Werner. No offense to any of my friends here, but blow us up or not. If I get the chance to teleport, I'm taking it. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a very Skaven thought to have. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, you're all in it for yourself because you are the chosen one of the Horned Rat. That's why, like, I really feel like I embody the spirit, you know? Anyway, I know we said we were going to brush through these things a lot quicker, but
I mean, we're
so
just kind of chatting, but
it's true, you know. Yeah. It's my favorite part. But
so the battle formation that they showed us is basically the same as Grin and Blades, except you have to be wholly within 3 inches of a terrain feature.
Yeah.
For it to be like applicable. Whereas right now, Grin and Blades you're just not visible outside of 12 inches, essentially. So I think this is kind of nice. It's also interesting that it kind of plays with the teleport that they have, where it's like, even if you use the teleport, you're still not visible within or outside of 12 inches.
Right.
So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The only thing like that's a little bit is the wholly within 3 inches. Like that's because a lot of terrain you can't be on top of it. It's impassable, right? So it's just kind of like, how do you fit? You know, or I mean, I guess what does a 120 oval? Can you fit that wholly within 3 of a terrain?
120
piece?
millimeters? No, I don't think so.
Like I don't mean like end to end, but like what if you line it up sideways against it?
Do you know what the dimensions are on the side? Is it like 70 something?
I don't remember. I want to say it's. Oh, geez. Actually, I mean, I've got one right here.
120 by 92. So no, you wouldn't be able
I was going to say 90. God dang it. Yeah, well, that's fair. Yeah, duh.
Because an inch is
25.4. Yeah, so I could have really just done the math myself, I suppose. But I didn't remember, in my own defense, how wide it was. I wanted to say 90, but a lot of terrain is unstable, so you'll need to be tactical with placement. Yeah, there's that too.
I could definitely see a lot of...
Sorry. Delicious said, teleport to Seattle with your army so we can throw down, bro. I'm not going through chaos for you, sir. Well, maybe for you.
Definitely not going to Seattle if I can teleport.
I'm going to Hawaii, damn it.
Seattle's nice.
I love Seattle.
I'm going if I can teleport.
Honestly, if I couldn't live in Vancouver, Seattle would maybe be my number one choice. And I'm not. My mom every now and again asks me, like, if you couldn't live in Vancouver, where would you live? And I actually say, like, I would be totally down to live in the Seattle area. It's similar weather-wise, and you get that sweet American, like, you know, what do you call it? Like, retail economy that they have down there, where everything costs like 30-40% less than here.
Yeah. For me, I think it would be Bellingham, actually.
Like, Bellingham is awesome. But I've grown up near the ocean, you know, my whole life. My university in Japan was like a block from the ocean. Like
Bellingham's on the ocean.
Is it on the ocean?
Yeah. There's like a bay that Bellingham's right on.
Huh. I didn't remember.
You just never see it because like the downtown isn't.
Yeah, yeah. That's so funny.
It's right there.
Huh. I love Bellingham. That's true. We have a similar culture. It's true. Yeah. Does terrain interrupt coherency? Both sides of the wall. Ooh. I mean, most of them are like even the GW terrain though is like more than half an inch. So I don't think it does, but I don't think you'll be able to get it unless you're using like MDF terrain. Maybe then. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe you could. I guess if you wanted to, but moving around that's going to be awful.
Yeah.
Like the models behind it have to.
Well, like do we know if maybe like they were getting the 40K rules where you can move through ruins and that kind of thing?
I don't think so, based on what we've seen, but
okay,
you never know. It could be a thing.
I hope so. That's such a great like quality of life kind of thing to me in 40K. But yeah, it's good that the games are different too. So you know, like. You can Kool-Aid Man through like drywall, but like through like ancient stone ruins. Like, to be fair, because that's always what I picture. By the way, is people like jumping through windows and just going through the drywall, right? But
yeah, full on Kool-Aid Manning it.
Yeah. Oh yeah! Bam! What up, everyone? For the last time, this is the wrong house, Mr. Kool-Aid Man. Yeah. I've got my own internal Kool-Aid Man lore.
I see. Okay. Yep. The Kool-Aid cinematic universe.
Yeah, the Kool-Aid Man, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, well, moving along.
Lord of the Swamp.
We've got the choking mist
Yep.
spell, which is, I can't remember exactly what it was, but right now it's just you pick a unit within 18 inches and then you subtract 1 from their attack's characteristic until the start of your next turn. Was choking mist previously like a bubble of that?
Yeah.
Was that what it was? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm almost positive that's what it was. Like I know it was a bubble. You picked a spot on the battlefield, and then everything within.
I've got it up here now.
Oh, do you? Thanks.
Yeah, 24-inch range, and then all units within 6 inches of that
6
point
inch,
are
okay.
affected. Subtract 1. So this is a significant debuff to this spell for sure. That being said, choking mist is kind of an insane range. Now that I think of it,
It is, and
coverage.
the other thing too is that you had to pick. The problem with Choking Mist was, originally the problem with Choking Mist was your Swamp Kala Shamans didn't get to cast a spell if they put poison down. That was just something because Cruel Boy sucked for so bad and for so long that they changed, right? And even then, like, you were still taking Blizzard this last season, like, most of the time, you know? So Choking Mist was good, but you don't have a lot of pluses to cast and like that kind of thing. So like, you know, yeah, honestly, it was good though. It was really good. It was definitely like my first choice in every. So yeah, I'm fine with this, to be honest. Like we've kind of seen that in general, that like those spells that were 24 inches went down to 18. So. Oh, and by the way, I did like what Nick said about Ruin stuff would probably be like unstable, so you can move through it, but not stay on top of it. So that sounds cool. Yeah. Beefy Crunch is right though. If you're ever exercising and you're looking for a podcast to listen to, this channel is been considered the best for a long time now. So.
Yeah, they actually have us on Peloton now. Yeah.
Yep.
Where?
I don't know what that is, but.
Oh, Peloton's like the bikes where they have like the videos on.
Oh,
you
right.
Can do it. No, just 1 more kilometer, and then except for us, we just not paying attention to you whatsoever, and we're just like, so anyway, choking mist is a little bit deep off this station.
Yeah. It's true. Ours is still better though, because like, if someone's yelling at you like, "Hey, you can do it," blah blah blah, you're thinking about the exercise, right? But if we're talking about anything but exercise, even though we're doing it right now, this is just an example, right? You're not thinking about the exercise. Like, I actually did used to listen to podcasts, and I still listen to them sometimes, but mostly audiobooks when I go for a run. And the thing I would notice is that, like, when I was listening to music, I was just like, oh, okay, here we go. You know, one more lap or whatever. But then when I started listening to podcasts, I would forget what lap I was on. And I was like, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because like I'm into it enough and paying attention to it enough that I'm, you know, forgetting the pain and whatnot. But yeah.
Yeah, kind of stop keeping tracks. You're like, wow, I'm doing so well. And you run like 300 meters in an hour because you're just walking to the podcast.
That's possible too. And then when they showed Gobsprak, now Gobsprak is I'm not sure about this. This is the only thing I think in the preview that I'm not like over the moon about, to be honest. But I haven't like fully settled on how I feel about it either, I think. You know what I mean? So anyway, so not a lot has changed here except for his movement went down from 14 inches. His Demon Finger staff is, I think, the exact same, except for now it's anti-wizard for an additional pip of rend. It always had, of course, the crit mortal on it. The other thing that's changed is that before his companion or his mount used to also have, like, normally you only get the crit mortal thing on the orcs themselves, but this got both the turkeys or the vultures rather have it on their mounts, and he lost it on the Killabeak's talons and beak. So now it's 7 attacks, 4s and 2s, which is a pretty normal monster profile. 1 rend, 2 damage, and an additional pip of rend for anti-wizard. And then they have it. They only have the crit mortal on the 1 attack which is 3s and 2s, 1 rend, d6 damage, and it's crit mortal. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, that's kind of like a downgrade in of itself, obviously, because I guess he's not meant to be a damage dealer, so you're kind of like whatever, right? So that's fair enough.
It did change from, so previously it was 5 attacks and now it's up to 7, which is different now. And then previously it was also 4s and 3s and now it's just 4s and 2s.
Yeah.
So it's definitely just a better profile, but again, no crit mortal makes it a little bit different, of course.
Yeah. I do wish they'd kept that, or maybe at least given it like 2 rend on those attacks if they're going to keep those away. But, you know, fair enough. Like that's not what he's there for. So I understand that. But like speaking to that, the Screamin' Mandrake, it's still only once per battle. And I think it should be once per like opponent's turn or whatever, casting phase. Because like he's the Mouth of Mork. He is their Primarch and he is a caster. So like and I don't want to like, I mean, thankfully I know they've already made Thanquil's War Scroll, and I'm sure they've already made all his crap for his big book release. So whatever, right? Like who cares now, right? But like look at Thanquil in AoS 3. Like this is what he is right now, right? Like none of this has really changed from where he is right now. And you look at Thanquil, and Thanquil, he's not the mouth of his god, right? He's a super powerful caster, though, and he has +3 to cast and unbind and dispel on his War Scroll. And granted, that goes down as he gets hit and whatnot. But like this guy's supposed to be like the magic dom of like the magical sneaky faction or whatever, right? So I am disappointed in that. Like that, I wish they had made him like really have his own flavor. But they do still have. I'm gonna like go to the side here, not do it in order, because this Mork says no rule is the same. If you unbind a spell, the caster takes D3, and if it's a 10+, they take D6, which is what it's supposed to dovetail into that thing. But like I want him to be scary to cast spells against. Like that's his whole thing. And right now he's quite good because of how the primal dice works, but he's going to go back to being kind of poopy, I think, and they're going to remember him at his current points and think that he's better than he probably is. But whatever, it is what it is. I kind of got into this faction for this model. He's the first polyglot of the Mortal Realms, and as a linguist and someone who likes learning languages, I just thought that was super cool, and that's part of why I really liked him so much. And the fact that he was mistranslating for Kragnos in the lore, I thought that was hilarious. And I did that like whole like mistranslation thing in the first few battle reports, and then I realized how insane amount of work it is, and I stopped doing it. But but if you go back and look at the first couple of battle reports with Kragnos and Gobsprak, I did that. So anyway, once per turn, he also has the Crush to Death rule. It's a rampage. Pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target. Roll a dice. If the roll exceeds the target's health, one model in that target unit is slain. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like it's nice that he still has a rampage whatsoever. So
yeah, that's true.
I think it's pretty nice. Like, there's a lot of models out there that this could be quite good against, and you just get a free shot at every time. It doesn't like cost you anything. Whereas right now, there's kind of an opportunity cost of like. Wait, does he have anything like this right now? I don't think he does, right?
No, he just has. He does not. Yeah.
So like previously, you're always balancing. Do I want to stomp something, roar something, or use like a special ability or something like that?
Yeah.
I'm assuming monsters don't have access to like a generic rampage set of abilities, but
it doesn't seem like it.
But yeah, this is nice that you just get a shot at that, because like even if a like an ogre comes into combat with you and it has 4 wounds, if you roll a 5 up, you just pick up an ogre, which is pretty sweet. So
that's true.
I'd be happy to have this.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they're giving everyone a rampage. Because he's anti-wizard across the board, I thought it would have been cooler if they'd done something specifically with wizards. because that's sort of his theme. But it's better to have something than nothing at all, obviously. And it looks like they're. I kind of feel like I wish they had kept generic rampages instead of doing this, but they feel like they have to change the game, I guess. So it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, and then he's got his own War Scroll spell, which goes off on a 6, 18-inch range, and then roll a number of dice equal to the target's health characteristic to a maximum of 10 for each 4-up. Inflict a mortal wound on the thing. I think this is pretty cool.
Yeah, you pick a monster and on average doing 5 mortal wounds to it is pretty amazing.
On average. 10. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can you imagine just rolling 10 mortal wounds? It's like, whoa, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. And 18 is actually, it's still a pretty far range. Like
it really is.
Knowing what we know about like how spells are being kind of shortened.
Yeah.
And like ranged threat is being shortened. Like there's still quite a bit.
That's something that I think everyone like needs to keep in mind when they look at their faction focuses and their different units all this stuff is being shortened up. So, yeah. I'm building some of the Battle of Osgiliath terrain. It has so many pieces and I'm slow. I feel you there. I like building terrain and I like putting models together, but yeah. Bro, you said Screaming Mandrake and I thought you said Mandrill at the first, so it activated your neuron. That's funny. I might have. Who knows? I'm wearing headphones. Like I don't know. It messes with me a little bit. So I might have said something stupid. It sounds like me. So the Killaboss on Great Nash Tooth, 10-inch move, 10 health, 3-up save, 2 control. None of that is different to my reckoning. And then the boss Sticka is 3s and 3s, 1 rend, 2 damage, crit, mortal. And then we've got 5 attacks from the doggy, 4s, 3s, 1 rend, 2 damage. I wish it was on a 3. Oh, no, I guess never mind. I take that back. And it had nothing to do with power. It was just so you could roll them at the same time, but you can't anyway because of crit mortal versus no crit mortal. Although you actually could just have different colored dice, but whatever.
I've seen people do that before.
Yeah. Anyway, that's ours. You gets. While this unit is contesting an objective you do not control, add 1 to hit rolls for combat attacks made by friendly Kruleboyz infantry units wholly within 12 inches of this unit. That is incredible. Like, if you're strategic around that, like, that's so powerful, man. Like, whew. Like, that's basically like an infantry mount trait that everyone takes for Flesh Eater Courts. You know what I mean? It's so good. And then in your hero phase, all part of the plan, pick another friendly Kruleboyz unit wholly within 9 inches of this unit to be the target. Add 3 to the target's control score until the start of your next turn. Also quite powerful. Like, yeah. They have to be close, though.
Yeah, wholly within 9 is pretty...
Yeah.
It's quite close. Which kind of speaks to me that this is like still a bit of a castle army, but we'll have to see for sure.
Well, and he's pretty fast too. Like I think his movement hasn't changed. It might have been 12 inches before, right? I think it's 10. Okay. I think I saw you nod your head almost imperceptibly. Thank you.
Yes. Sorry.
No worries. No, I couldn't tell. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty awesome, frankly. And I always really like the model, so I'm excited to use them. And then we've got the Merc Knob. This is actually, I think this is a huge buff for this unit. So everything is the same here for his wheel, I think. And then for his attacks, he's got 4 attacks, 4s and 3s. Yeah, like who knows? Like Alex is the only person I've ever seen take this guy. Like I wanted to when Magic was kind of crazy, but I just could never fit him. I never had the points for this guy. And it's a cool model too. Anyway, 4 attacks, 4s and 3s, 1 rend, 2 damage, crit mortal. Looks like everyone at least has this in melee. And then Power of Kragnos, which is super cool. Each friendly Kruleboyz unit have a 6-up ward while they're wholly within 12 inches of this unit. So he's got now he has the Astrolith Bearer from Seraphon. 6-up Mortal Wound Shrug. or whatever. Anyway, and then he's got the Breath of the Mire Drakes. Pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target. Roll a dice for each target. On a 1, nothing. 2 through 5, inflict 1 mortal damage on the target. On a 6, inflict D3 mortal damage on the target. So, like, I don't know. That's kind of cool. It's nothing like to write home about, but like just the ward is like really why you're taking this guy, right?
Yeah, I think the Breath of the Mire Drakes is like a nice defensive ability. It definitely seems like this guy's going to be at the center of your castle, so like you're probably not charging him in to use that.
No.
So,
but he could get charged.
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of a nice to have thing. So
yeah,
not bad.
I'm gonna have to paint him now.
Yeah. Then we got some gut rippers, which they seem mostly the same. Except
they used to be 4s and 4s.
Yeah, that's true. Crit mortal 1 damage, so maybe something is going to be increasing the damage, like the Sluddrake Beast again or something like that.
That'd be cool.
And then they've got their ability, which is you just roll a dice on a 3-up, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by non-hero units, which I think is like almost the same as it is now, except there's no dice roll.
Yeah, it used to be. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, originally there was a dice roll, and now there isn't, and yeah,
and now there is again. Yay!
Yay! I mean, like before, it was a nightmare though. You had to like do it before they charged or something, and then if they charged, and you take a left at the hypotenuse, it was a mess. You know, so this is 10 times better. Really happy. And then
that's pretty much them, other than Spearhead.
Yeah, the Spearhead. Yeah. You know, now it has 2 attacks, 4s and 2s, 2 rend, d6 damage, crit, auto wound. That's interesting. It looks like they're getting rid of the mortal wounds from this thing, which was kind of like most exciting. It only had 1 attack before, but it was like a really fun and interesting kind of mechanic. And now, you know,
we don't necessarily know if what we're seeing for the Spearhead stuff is going to be representative of like.
That's true. That's a great point.
Because we've seen some stuff. I can't think of any specific example right now. We've seen some stuff where like it's closer to what it was in 3rd than it is what it is in 4th, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're always going to be missing some abilities, or it's going to be slightly changed. Like
that's so true.
Take it with a grain of salt for sure. But
that's
might have been kind of what Justin Sloan was talking about earlier, where he was saying he thinks that Bolt Boys are also going to be crit auto wound.
Yeah, that
would make sense. Yeah, like it could be that for sure, but this isn't the end result, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Totally. And I'm really looking forward to. I always really liked playing Cruel Boys. It was an army that I got for the channel, and because I got to play Kragnos, and Kragnos is the coolest thing ever. Like he's so much fun. But like I always really liked them aesthetically, and so I'm looking forward to getting them on the table and then playing in this different kind of way that's very thematic and cool. So, yeah. Soulblight Gravelords. Oh, here. Yeah. What do we want to do? Do we want to just talk about them in general?
I think so. I don't think either of us are particularly like wowed or disappointed about these. There's some interesting things to point out, like Blood Knights seem to have gotten a pretty decent glow up.
They lost the Pip of Rend, but they are faster. They're one of the few things.
They lost the Pip of Rend, but they have situational ways to get it back against infantry, which makes sense. And then they're faster in a game where everything's getting slower, I think is like the big thing.
Yep. Actually, why don't I scroll down to them? While you were talking about them. And Chattakar got a big blow up.
Yeah.
A glow up, I should say.
So, and then the Blood Knights, they can't move over friendly infantry units anymore. They can only move over enemy infantry units. But it does just say infantry. It's not based on wound anymore. So technically, they could be like charging over ogre gluttons, even though they could be by them.
They could be charging over frickin' storm fiends, which have double their health.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that's wild.
And then
or Croxagore.
They do impact mortals basically, or it's not even necessarily impact mortals. It's kind of weird the timing of this. It just says pick an enemy unit that this unit has passed across this turn to be the target.
Turn, yeah.
So at any point, and you only get to pick one.
And
for the
but
whole
you do
turn.
it in the charge phase.
Yeah.
So
you
like
could,
there's some people
run over
debating
an
on
enemy unit and
Yeah.
then charge something else and then pick that previous unit to be the source of the damage or the
Yep.
target of the damage. It's kind of
Yep.
weird, but yeah, these guys. It seems like they got. I would say they got a glow up for sure.
But by the way, them charging over Storm Fiends and Ogres and Croxagore make total sense to me. Okay? Because my dog charges over my feet and he does mortal damage to my feet. And so this totally checks out in my opinion. I have a
Makes
very big
total
dog.
sense. and Blood Knights are well known to be akin to dogs.
That's true. To Bernese mountain dogs, at least, to very large and silly dogs. I don't know why they showed Vargeist. Like, that might be my biggest disappointment. Like, when has Vargeist been like a core of this army? Like direwolves, zombies. Give us anyway. I'm super excited for Chadakar. 12 health, 8-inch move, 4 up save, 5 control. Nothing really different there that I can think of. But now it's 6 attacks, 3s and 3s, 2 rend, 3 damage, and crit mortal. Like, whoo, baby. And he should be a beast. Like, he should be an absolute terror. 6 attacks from the little vampires that are, admiring his nuts. 6 attacks, 3s and 3s, 1 rend, 2 damage, which is like kind of like it's pretty good on its own. And then call to the hunt. If this unit charged this turn, for the rest of the turn, add 1 to wound rolls for combat attacks made by friendly Death Rattle, Deadwalker, and Verkel's Bloodborne units while they are wholly within 12 inches. Like, that's pretty good. Because, like, Deadwalkers also includes Direwolves. That's zombies. Obviously the Verkel's Bloodborne is pretty specific, but then you got Death Rattle, like you've got Graveguard, you've got Skelly Boys, so like that's a good amount of stuff, and a 12-inch bubble from his base, which is like a 60mm base, I want to say, that's pretty good, and then
Yeah.
Sorry, and then once, yep.
I was just gonna say it's also so we know that there's a buff to Graveguard right now in 3rd edition where I think it's if Manfred kills something, they get like +1 attack.
Yeah.
So there could potentially be some buff stacking if something like that stays around.
Right.
And the nice thing about Radikar is that this is just if he charges. Like he doesn't need to do any damage or he doesn't need to go first or anything like that. It's just a passive if he charges. So you can activate something else first and still take benefits from it, which is really nice.
That's true. That's a good point. And then he has, if this unit is not in combat, it can move D6 inches, and it can move into combat, by the way. So, it's at the end of any turn. But, like, man, that sure keeps him safe now with, like, the no shooting, into combat or whatever. Like, you can't shoot at things, like, a lot of things can't shoot in combat, right? So, that's pretty big. It's considered a rampage, but it's at the end of the turn, which is kind of interesting. Like, it has
I
rampage
assume
keyword.
there's going to be some stuff that interacts with rampages, like they can't be the target of a rampage or something like that. So,
well, that's
maybe
true.
That's why, but
That's true. Anyway, and now, for the first time ever, he's a spellcaster. So he has a spell, and it's basically his old rule that he used to get all the time. But just him being a spellcaster is really powerful. It goes off on a 6, and it subtract 1 from hit rolls and wound rolls for attacks that target this unit. So he can only do it on himself. But that's just like, even though you have to cast the spell for this, it just, like, I don't know. It's really good, man.
yeah. Nick brings up a really good point that I didn't think of earlier, actually, too, which is that you could technically power through before you use his like D6 pile-in thing. And if you recall, power through, I think it's 2 CP or 1 CP, and basically he gets to move and he can end outside of combat, which means you can move him past like a screen or something like that.
Right.
And then he moves D6 to just enter combat with something behind. So basically he's moving 8 plus D6 inches at the end of a turn if you want him to.
And power throughs at the end of the turn as well?
Yep.
Can you do 2 abilities like that?
Interesting.
I don't know.
I don't know actually. 1 CP, he
Oh, it's
says.
1 CP. Oh, I could have
Yeah.
I could have sworn you were right that it was 2 CP.
Maybe it's just countercharge that's 2 CP. But
Oh,
that's a
that's what it is.
good. I remember seeing there's like a list of it's called like the rule of one, which is like in the core rules where they're talking about like what you can actually do per turn. I don't actually know if you can use two abilities like that at the end of the turn. I don't see why not, but
I'm not
assuming you
sure.
can, that's pretty huge, right? Being able to
Right.
move 8 inches plus the extra d6, and then just being able to pin something after that.
Oh
That's
yeah.
massive.
That's incredible. So I think that you might be able to, because it's not like it's not a command ability, or however you want to say that, where you're not paying CP for it, right? Because otherwise you wouldn't be able to fight at all and use any combat phase abilities, because you're doing 2 abilities per turn.
Yep.
That's the one thing in the new rules that seems a little bit ephemeral in terms of its like wording and whatnot.
I think that's probably because we don't have the full rules in front of us right now.
Well,
And
that's
then as
just
soon as
it.
you learn it, it's going to be like, just doesn't matter anymore. So,
That's true. That's a good point. So yeah. Anyway, general thoughts on Soulblight?
I think it was kind of a side grade. Is what I saw for them. It's like they showed some promising things. We saw some glow ups for some of the war scrolls. Their battle traits are mostly
Toned
they're
down.
not the same, but they are
No,
toned down.
they seem like the second edition, where there is some recursion, but it's like much less.
Yeah, and again, that's just what's in the battle traits. There could be something where like maybe a necromancer
Totally.
has like really like roided up his recursion,
Yeah.
right? And then he's bringing back skeletons like nothing, right? So, Justin says, I believe units just can't do 2 core abilities per phase. Yeah, 100%. You can't do more than 1 core ability, but yeah, so maybe this will be anyway. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see soon enough.
That's true. And just before we dip on over, might have brought this up before, but I would love it if they retired the current Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon to the old world, and then we got some kind of crazy vampire on Blood Dragon for Soulblight when we get their book or whatever. That'd be really cool. But yeah. So now we've got Seraphon. Or actually, let's go over to, because I feel like we've kind of done a couple of mine in a row. Why don't we?
Slanesh actually would be technically was the first one we should have done.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, then let's go to Slanesh.
Yeah, I think Slanesh is another one that maybe we can focus on just the
core,
the battle trait.
Yeah,
just kind of talking about that. I think, and I think this is maybe one that we need to read out
for sure. Yeah, would you mind doing the honors? I'll
go to hell.
Already there with your pal.
Oh, okay. So the battle trait is they only have 2. R.I.P. And one of them is the start of the battle round. Excess of depravity. Basically, you pick up to 3 friendly Hedonites of Slanesh units to be the targets. The effect is that the targets have the euphoric keyword for the rest of the battle round. In addition, for each friendly unit you pick, give your opponent 1 temptation dice. Your opponent can use 1 temptation dice to replace 1 wound roll. Save roll. I'm having a stroke here. Ward roll or run roll for a unit in their army with a 6.
I'm enjoying it.
Or they can use 2 temptation dice to replace 2 of the dice in a charge roll for a unit in their army with 2 6s. Each time your opponent uses a temptation dice, they must roll it on a 1 to inflict D3 mortal wounds on the unit for which the roll was replaced immediately after the ability used by that unit has been resolved. So basically, after it does the thing it wants to do, then it takes the mortal wounds. At the end of the battle round, any temptation dice that have not been used are lost. I'm going to read Euphoric Killers first before we talk about that more. Euphoric Killers is while a friendly unit has the Euphoric keyword, that unit's weapons have crit 2 hits, and that unit can use a run ability and still shoot and or charge later in the turn. So basically, you're just like buffing them up quite a bit. I'd also assume there's going to be other things that buff euphoric units specifically too. In fact, I think there's an example of it below.
There is
where, like the spell below says that they do crit mortal instead of crit 2 hits, right? Which is pretty big.
That's pretty big. Yeah.
So the kind of the I guess controversy is that this is so how temptation dice currently work is basically you get 6 per battle round, and then you do the same thing where you ask your opponent if they want to replace the dice roll with 6. Same like for save, wound, hit. I don't think ward is one of them currently, but right now it's
I know charge is not.
Yeah, charge is definitely not. And right now it's if they say yes, then you get a whole bunch of temptation points, which can be used to buff up your army and summon stuff. And if they say no, they just instantly take D3 mortal wounds. So that's kind of I could see how people could say that that's a debuff or like that's like much worse because the temptation dice is a lot of people are bringing up the whole like 12-inch auto charge thing. That's pretty massive. Like being able to guarantee a charge is huge.
Oh.
So I understand that for sure. I think we just don't have enough information on like how powerful euphoric can be.
Yeah.
And I also think that what's probably going to happen is someone's probably going to say like, okay, this is my hammer for this turn. I picked this one unit to be a hammer, and that's it. Because it doesn't say that you can pick one of the charge dice and turn it into a 6. When you're charging, you have to specifically have 2.
You have to use both, yeah.
Yeah. So I think people are going to be, picking one hammer unit that they're going to be just whipping into their opponent. Yeah. And then you're going to, making one save roll, save, hit, or wound or whatever is not that big of a deal. And then maybe taking mortals on top of it's, not huge either. So I think it's just fundamentally changing how Slaanesh plays. But
it is.
What are your thoughts on this, the change?
At first I kind of had a similar reaction to a lot of people that they were just kind of bad. But then listening to what Eric was planning, I was just like going, oh my God, maybe they're too good. Like, I think a lot of it is like again, like, and we keep saying this, but like, we don't have like your initial reaction to ogres was like, you're like, this isn't great. You know what I mean? And then you thought about it and you're like, oh, it really is just different than they work right now. And now you're kind of learning that there, like through leaks and whatnot, there might be a whole plethora of rules that are going to really make the army sing. And I think that that's kind of what it is here as well. Like, and we just don't know enough about euphoric to really make any kind of judgment. And also, like, through the context of like Soulblight, like if you look at Soulblight too, like they have way less recursion than they do now. Like their traits have been toned down so far. And maybe it's a good thing because they had to make the unit so expensive before, you know what I mean, to make up for that. So we just don't know enough. But like, it really is. I mostly just think it's really cool in a thematic kind of way, and like,
yeah,
and that's and I saw Unaided said that your new army is Slaanesh, which is super cool. I'm glad that people are still excited for it. Unaided, were you the Beast of Chaos player? I could be wrong. I thought I remembered you were a Beast of Chaos player, so I was just curious to ask. I mean, I know it's but like, I was curious to see whether you were gonna pick up some Slangor and whatnot from Beast of Chaos, and bring them over, because that'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool. I have some. So maybe this is like kind of a hot take, but I think that the current Temptation Dice system is a feel bad on both ends, like on both sides. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is, so explaining it from the perspective of the person who is receiving Temptation Dice, i.e. the not Slaanesh player, obviously it's a feel bad because bad things are happening to you, but it's a feel bad because it's like, you don't get to choose when you would get that 6, right? Yeah. The person's just like, here's this useless rule that you don't care whatsoever about making it a 6. Sometimes it's even a save roll where it's like the rend is so much that a 6 doesn't even help you, right? Mm-hmm. And that is just like, okay, cool. I guess I'll just take D3 mortals also. Like that. Why don't you just tell me that instead? Yeah. Why don't you just say, just take D3 mortals? Because you never want to give your opponent D6 temptation right now. So it's kind of just like, you're not really rewarding me for this. It's not as like cool as I think some people think it is, because it's just like I'm hitting you, and also an even worse thing happens. It's not like but if you want to take this, then maybe it'll benefit me a little bit, and we can kind of both get something out of this. That's like Slanesh, right? Like truly tempting you.
Yeah.
And it's a feel bad on the Slanesh player side, because I've seen so many Slanesh. Yeah, exactly. I've seen so many Slanesh players that have like 4 temptation dice left. And it's one of those moments where it's kind of like how current redeploy works, where someone's like moving their models and you're like, oh, wait, I want to, you went inside, is that within 9? And you're like constantly measuring. It's kind of like if someone, as a Slanesh player, you have to be like constantly like staring at your opponent's dice, be like, you want to turn that into a 6? Like,
yeah,
like you have to like interrupt your opponent, which is just inherently like a not good thing to have happen during a war game. Right?
Yeah, like right at the start, like right when you started saying that, Ledivicus was saying, I'm just thrilled that we won't have Slanesh players interrupting the tempo of the game handing you dice anymore.
Yeah.
And
yeah, exactly.
I understand everyone's concerns. Like, and I'm not like, I'm not like just saying like whatever everyone, like not at all, right? But like, I think a certain part of you, like when you play these different armies, it's like kind of like if I were to complain about Skaven being too random. You know what I mean? It's like, but like they're so random. Like I'm always doing damage to myself. It's like that's what you signed up for. You know what I mean? This is truly like this is very Slanesh, right? Where it's like I'm causing pain to myself, and it feels good. You know what I mean? The pain is pleasure, and then it's like that for the opponent too. Like they're taking D3 mortal wounds, but they're like, oh yeah, it feels good. And it's this seduction. And I think it's so thematic, and I really like it for that purpose. It's kind of like what you signed up for when you're playing Slanesh. Like if you're just like purely into the aesthetics, then I'm sorry, but like that, you know what I mean? It's kind of like the Skaven thing. It's just like, if you didn't want random, then don't play Skaven. Like that's what they're here to do. It's a slot machine,
Yeah, exactly. It seems like a lot of people in the chat kind of feel the same way about like the tempo being interrupted as well. Justin saying I hated Slanesh players interrupting my dice rolls attack to offer me a temptation dice after I've refused for the 30th time. 100%. Like at a certain point, you kind of just want to like look at your opponent and just be like, just tell me I take D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah,
just tell me when it happens, because I'm never gonna say yes. Like it's like it.
Yeah,
it's
just
just
so true.
to...
It's just like a negative play experience for both people. And like the Slanesh player, like it's their prerogative. Like it's what they're supposed to be doing, like by the rules. But I'm sure they don't want to be doing it. Like no one wants to be a pushy salesman. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Also, Unaided says our Slanesh players like Tau. 100% no. That's not the case at all. What we're saying is that it was a game mechanic that kind of required someone to act, to interject in what your opponent is doing. And that's always going to create like a kind of like friction in the game, right?
That's exactly it. What Carson just said. They are not like Tau, not at all. That's so funny though. Okay. It is so funny when the Slanesh player rolls 1s and 2s when you relent and give him the depravity. You're just like, fine, man. just roll your dice. And they're like, 1. God dang it. after all those sales pitches. What are the new rules again? They get to auto charge. So yeah, we just kind of finished going through it, but like it's like basically like oh man, do you want to give like a super quick?
Sure. Basically, the Slanesh player says I can pick up to 3 units to be euphoric. For however many units I pick, you get that many temptation dice, and the temptation dice can be used at your discretion as the player that receives them, and you can use it to turn any dice roll into a 6 if it's like a save, ward, run, wound, or hit. I don't know, is there hit? It doesn't say hit in there, does it?
That's crazy. But there's ward roll on there.
And wound. There is no hit roll.
Oh, wow.
Huh. Weird.
Huh. That's actually... You know what? That's really good, because the other thing too is that like you get a lot out of crit hits now. You get
Yeah,
auto wound. You get so you kind of need to make it through that initial stage. That's really interesting.
yeah, that is interesting.
Actually, it's a good thing you brought that up, Kiki, because we're just discovering that you don't get hits. It is like, and by the way, I wasn't directed at you in any kind of negative way. It was just like, but I'm glad that you asked the question, because now it's like, it is like, I actually do feel like it's very thematic, but we were just kind of talking about how it's maybe not quite as bad as it sort of seems at first.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is just that, like, people are going to play around giving you a bunch of temptation dice. Let's say you're playing against an army that doesn't want to charge you at all, like a huge castle army.
Yeah.
I don't care about, if they want to make a 12-inch charge, go ahead. It doesn't matter to me. Like, if you're playing a gun line, who cares?
Well, and the other option too is like, you don't have to do it.
Yeah. Or maybe it's in a turn where you know that your opponent just can't get to the rest of your army for a charge, and you're like, I'm just sending these guys into you anyway. You can enjoy your 12-inch charge into nothing, because there's not going to be anything else that you're going to be able to get into. Like, I intend for whatever I'm sending into you to die.
And traditionally speaking, Slaanesh is like one of the fastest armies in the game.
Yeah, exactly. And being euphoric gives you run and charge, which is pretty big. And I think just looking down at some of these war scrolls, 14-inch move Philaxia Hellbane, 10-inch move Fiends, these are going to be extremely fast. And the Fiends are going to be able to go 16 inches, charge at you. It's pretty big. It's just going to take a lot of situational awareness. And I think that definitely there's going to be a lot of foot shooting that happens, where someone's going to say, I want to make all three of these units euphoric, not quite do as much damage as they intended to do. And then their opponent just wrecks them in return, because they get, 3 guaranteed dice, which is pretty big.
Yeah. But I'm sorry if people don't feel but again, we're only seeing a piece of the pie here. So, and then Depraved Cardinal, what do you call it? Battle Formation? Is that right?
Yep.
Nice. Okay. Is the Ecstatic Throngs. Add 1 to hit rolls for friendly Sybarite infantry units while they are damaged, or if they had any models slain in the same turn. So that's actually really awesome. And that's just across your whole army, all the infantry. So if you're just taking a bunch of infantry, it's just they're all just, Now, there's probably other things going into this as well, but then it'll also kind of lend to the idea of not going first, Or you go up against Gobsprak and he's like, oh, gobble up one of your infantry guys. You're like, thank you, sir. Please do. Like Obi-Wan, you will strike me down and I will become more powerful than ever, Yeah. But, and then the Sadistic Spite 6, pick a friendly Hedonites of Slaanesh Wizard to cast a spell. Pick a friendly visible euphoric unit. That's crazy. First of all, there's no range on this. It's just visible. The target's melee weapons have crit mortal instead of crit 2 hits. Oh, baby. And if, by the way, if you only give 1 unit euphoric, whatever you want to send in and do a bunch of crit mortals, right? You just put it on 1 unit, and then they can't charge 12 inches because they have to replace both dice. It's pretty... There's a lot here, But, yeah. And then I guess shall I read out Shilaxi? Because everyone's talking about her in the chat. So
Sure. Yeah,
sure.
We can do that.
So 14-inch move, like you said, 16 health, which is a lot, frankly. 4 up save, 5 control. Soul Piercer is 6 attacks, 2s and 3s. 2 rend, 3 flat damage. And then anti-hero +1 rend. Whew. Impaling Claws, 2 attacks, 3s and 3s. 2 rend, 4 damage. So she is pretty scary. She's actually a lot scarier than Chadakar, frankly. And then subtract 1 from hit rolls for combat attacks that target this unit, which is huge because so many things are hitting on 4s now. And then your hero phase casting roll, it goes off on a 4. For the rest of the turn, add 1 to wound rolls for this unit's attacks that target enemy heroes. So you'll be wounding on 2s instead of 3s. So you'll be 2s and 2s, and then 3s and 2s. And then add 1 to save rolls for attacks made by enemy heroes that target this unit. So you go to a 3-up, which is really cool. And then once per turn, reaction, opponent declared a charge ability for a hero within 9 inches of this unit. So there's a bubble. If this unit is not in combat, it can immediately move 2d6. It can pass through combat ranges of enemy units, but must end their move within half inch of that hero. If it does so, this unit has charged, and that hero's charge ability has no effect. So not only can you zoop into combat and anti-charge people outside of the regular anti-charge, like charging in other people's turns and whatnot, and you get to do this once per turn. So they're just doing it. You don't need any command points, right? Anyway, that seems really good. And then once per battle, your combat phase, pick a friendly non-hero Hedonites and Slaanesh unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. The target can use 2 fight abilities this turn. After the first is used, however, the target has strike last. So, also...
Yeah, we've seen the excess of violent thing before. And it's still super scary for sure. Wholly within 12 inches is... it's a little close, but I could see someone marking... I don't know, like a block of fiends or something like that as euphoric, charging them in, and then just running Shalaxi up behind them or something like that, allowing them to fight twice.
Right.
But I wanted to point out that Paramount Hunter, I think, is the first non-unbind thing that we've seen that interrupts the whole declare effect sequence of the game. Because declaring a charge is you roll your 2d6 and then something happens, and then Paramount Hunter would just be like, okay, I charge you now, and then you go in, and then it just completely nullifies the effect of that charge ability, which is pretty big.
Yeah, it's huge. Also, I wanted to point out that I think she's on a 100mm round base, so she's on at least an 80mm. I think it's a 100mm round, but
it is 100. Yeah,
right. So that 12-inch bubble is significantly bigger than that, right? Get it? I mean. It's Slaanesh, baby. Anyway.
Bring up Jim Bob again.
Yeah. Oh, and it has a ward of 5-up. Or she has a ward.
They?
Double caster. They? Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's intentionally modeled to be androgynous, I think.
No, I know. But since the beginning of time, they've always called Slaanesh it's himself or herself, themselves. Everything and it always gets it's very anyway. I don't claim to understand Slaanesh. Better get your Shalaxi. Yeah, you honestly some of these things that are coming out you won't be able to find pretty quick. If Shalaxi wants to throw on some of those glasses with the nose and mustache and come play for Gits, we'll gladly call her a big goblin. Yeah. Shalaxi is a they. Thank you. I will take your word for it. Fiends. I mean, I guess we don't need to go into everything, but
yeah, fiends are still fast. They still have a lot of attacks. They've condensed their attacks profile. Simbresh Twin Souls are still they subtract 1 from attacks characteristics nearby. Kind of like a debuff piece. Yep. And then the Fane of Slaanesh is it's a little different, or it is much different, I think. You can't eat an artifact if you want to with it, which is it was weird that was even an option. But
that was kind of an NPE experience, so yeah. I think this is better.
Yep. Anyway, do we want to move on to Seraphon or?
Sounds Gouda. So we got war. Oh sure. Wait, which one do you want to go first?
Let's do it in order. We can do Seraphon.
Sure. So they changed a lot. I'll read them out real quick. Okay, so once per battle, pick an Astrum ability. They can be used for the rest of the battle, and others, but the others cannot, unless allowed by the Further the Great Plan ability. So the Further the Great Plan ability is also once per battle, and it's at the start of the 3rd battle round. You can use this ability if you meet the condition below that corresponds to the asterism you picked in the deployment phase. Okay. So, 3 or more enemy units have been destroyed. So, wait, one second. You can use this ability if you meet the conditions below that corresponds to the asterism. So wait, can you only...
So basically, you pick an asterism at the start of the battle, right?
Yeah.
And then for that asterism,
yeah,
if you meet the requirements set out there, so
right,
let's say you pick Itzel the Tamer. Itzel the Tamer says that your companion weapons have crit 2 hits, and then in order to satisfy it and move on to something else,
you have to kill
3 or more
units.
enemy units have to have been destroyed. That's how you satisfy Itzel the Tamer's asterism. One important thing is I think you get both. You get to pick another one and then both apply, right?
Yes. So at this...
Yeah, Nick says it well. Pick one on the right. That one gives you a side quest. When you complete the side quest, you get to pick another one on the right. Basically, that's it.
But the second one is only at the start of the 3rd battle round.
Yes.
Right? Once again. Pick an asteroid ability. That resonance can be used for the rest of the battle, but the others cannot. So wait, don't you just get the first one for free?
You do.
Okay. You don't have to complete the side quest. Okay.
You don't have to. No. Completing the side quest basically means that you can pick another benefit.
Right. Okay. That's what I thought it was the first time. But then, like, reading it out now, out loud, while everyone listens to me read, I thought it was like, wait, do I have to do that for the first one too? Okay. So it's just as I thought. The first time I read this, though, was like super early in the morning. Like I'd just woken up because that's like the first thing I do, obviously, each day is read the faction focus. And so I was like, oh, I must have misread it. Okay. Anyway, so I guess maybe we'll read out the things on the right first, right? So
yeah.
So you can pick one of these, and that is companion weapons by friendly Seraphon units have critical 2 hits, right? Effect subtract 1 from the Ren characteristic of melee weapons for attacks that target friendly Seraphon units that are wholly within friendly territory. Also very good. So take the Deliverer, add 2 to the move characteristic of friendly Seraphon units. Also very, very good. Tepak the Seer, add 1 to casting rolls for friendly Seraphon units. So you not just your Slan, but also your Skinks, your Skinky Skanks. And then so the first one of these you just get at the start of the battle. Which one do you think you're going to pick, or would you pick?
I think it was already said in the chat a little bit, but I think that what a lot of people are probably going to do is they're going to be picking Tepak the Seer, just because add 1 to casting rolls is just really good. Period.
It's just really good. Yeah.
But the second thing is that it's the easiest one to satisfy. Because you have to satisfy the side quest in turn 1 or 2, right? And if you look at that, in turn 1 or 2, kill 3 or more enemy units, maybe not, right? Like if your opponent's in a castle, not super easy.
Right.
Turn 1 or 2, there are no enemy units wholly within friendly territory. That's really, really difficult to prevent. Your enemy can just do that, right? Assuming, this is still like somewhat Seraphon Castle style play. Sotek the Deliverer, it's probably the hardest one. The enemy general is in combat, is in combat or has been destroyed. Again, your enemy can really prevent that from happening. The only one that your enemy has no input on whatsoever is Tepak the Seer, which is just no Slan in combat or have been destroyed. You just want to keep your Slan safe for the first 2 turns. Boom, you got your side quest. Then you can pick whatever else you want.
Right.
I think that's what most people are going to do.
Yeah, I think so. And then, but now the third one though, or the second. What's it called? Asterism? just not the best word, but whatever. You still have to complete that one before you get the second effect, right?
Yeah. But you're completing the side quest for the one you picked, right?
Yeah. So you pick, so let's just assume we're all picking Tepak the Seer, right? You get add 1 to your casting rolls, right? And then if during the first and second turn, you satisfy the not having your Slan in combat, right? And first of all, you have to have a Slan in your army to even pick that, right? But like, let's just assume you get that. Then at the start of the third battle round, you pick another one, right? But then you have to complete that quest before you can get the effect, correct?
Yes.
So I wouldn't get... So you're probably never picking Sotek the Deliverer, right?
Yeah.
Like throughout the entire battle.
So let's say you're playing against Sons of Behemoth, right?
Yeah.
That's a much easier one to guarantee, right? Because like the Sons of Behemoth player probably doesn't want their Mega Gargant general to be way off in some corner or castled up. You can control whether that it's in combat, right? You can try and pin it with an anvil or something like that. Maybe even that's not a great example because maybe they can just kill whatever's trying to pin them. But basically, if they have like a big, like War Master General like Kragnos or Broad or something like that, it's an easier one that you have access to, and maybe you do pick Sotek the Deliverer, and maybe you can get him in combat at the start of Battle Round 3.
Right.
It is situational for sure, and you can decide in deployment, like the Ludovicus is saying in the chat. But I think the easiest path, like to start, is definitely Tepok the Seer.
Yeah, for sure.
Just because it's like the most non-interactive one to get access to something else. But maybe you're playing like a hyper-aggressive, like Agrodon Lancer list. Maybe you want +2 to move for all of your stuff, right? That's huge. That's probably like a 20% or more speed boost on.
Yeah, because they're super slow. Yeah, they're like 8 inches, which is insane for cavalry. Yeah, okay. So everything is as I thought it was. Reading this out on stream and making sure that, whatever. I don't like. So this is kind of what I feel about. So I used to play Space Wolves. I mean, I still technically can. I still own a Space Wolves army, but like, this feels a lot like their 8th and 9th edition army books, where it's like you get like one thing, right? Which is +1 to casting rolls for Seraphon units. And it kind of feels like that's your only battle trait. You know what I mean? And then you can earn another one, maybe. So this feels like extremely toned down, right? From what they currently are. But it's kind of like whatever. I mean, they are such a strong force in AoS 3 and AoS 2 at the end of AoS 2. So I kind of just feel like this is them kind of overcompensating a little bit. But
I don't know if I agree with that. I think the big thing that we saw in 3rd was that you had like a directly written separation of Coalesced and Starborn.
Yeah.
Where it's just like you can't use Starborn units in a Coalesced army effectively and vice versa, right?
Yep.
Whereas now I think what they're probably doing is they're saying like, here's some like very generic buffs that you can get and another way to like get another buff essentially.
Yeah.
So you can make a combined force army of like, maybe you like Carnosaurs and Slans. That's your army, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you like to do, some other combination of stuff that doesn't necessarily mean you're like either all spell casting or all dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So I kind of like it, to be honest. And I think that like we've seen the Croxagore, which like absolutely slap in combat. Being able to give them crit 2 hits or something like that is really big. Being able to give them +2 move is really big. I don't know. I think it's kind of neat. It's just, again, I think it's just another different thing.
I think it is, but like this is a huge mouthful for what is going to probably be like they're basically their whole battle trait is one of these things, maybe 2. Right? So it's +1 to casting for wizards. And then maybe like subtract 1 from rend or companions have crit 2 hits. That's not a lot. You know what I mean? Like I actually think like the Slanesh ones are a lot better, where it's just like I pick 3 units, up to 3 units, and they have run and charge and what is it, crit 2 hits? I can't remember what the secondary thing is. Yeah. I think that's like a lot better personally, and it's like it's a lot of like complicated like wording for something that's just like not amounting to that much. But I do agree with what you're saying, that I like that it's like more, it's for everyone. They're not splitting the army down the line. That was like a bad idea, frankly.
Yeah.
You know.
I I would say that the reason why it's complicated like this, it kind of implies that there's going to be more interaction with it than what we see here.
And I hope
And I
so, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that chances are they didn't show us Croak because there's something big on his war scroll that interacts with this in a special way.
Maybe.
Um,
That'd be
that's
cool.
that's my prediction anyway. Like maybe he like introduces a new asterism of some kind, or maybe he says like you
Ooh.
can just pick one, you automatically solve your thing, or maybe it's
Maybe you
on
get
battle
two,
round
yeah.
2 or 3. Yeah, who
That's
knows,
true.
right?
That's
There's
true.
a lot of ways that you can
Yep.
interact with this that could make it very interesting. And I think that this being so generic, it just opens a lot of doors, I think. And I don't know, it's neat, I think. But it's definitely much different and much more toned down than the battle traits of the current book. That's for sure.
The current book, like, so like their second edition book, like I'm a huge Lizard Man from old Stan. I bought, they were the first army that I bought when they first came out in 5th edition with the box set. But when they came out in 2nd edition, it's the most powerful that Lizardmen Seraphon have ever been. They were completely broken, right? And we didn't get new models, and I was just like, ugh, like these things are way overtuned, and I didn't get new models. I was just like, I bought the book, I didn't buy the cards or anything else, right? I bought the terrain because you have to. If you don't, you'll never find it again. But I didn't play the army for a while. But you know, anyway, I mean, I like, this is definitely a step in the right direction, and I hope you're right. Like, and I think like I'm staying positive. Like, it's not like a big deal to me. I'm not crapping all over it or whatever. But I do hope that, yeah, that we see a lot of interaction. You know, it's the same thing I hope for, you know, Gits and Slanesh and anything else that people found kind of lackluster. Maybe Croak has a Kairos type ability, but for asterisms. What was Kairos's new ability? I can't remember it. I read it at the time because I love that big silly bird, but you get 1 for a turn as a once per game.
Almost got it. I've almost got it.
Nice.
Kairos.
Starborn
So I'm assuming he's referring to Kairos as Oracle of Eternity, which is pick one of the following effects. You can pick one battle tactic that you've already attempted.
Right.
And then you can pick 2 battle tactics that you have not yet attempted. You can only complete one of them, even if you meet the conditions. Basically, you get to pick one of 2 and just kind of hedge your bets.
That's so
That'd be
cool.
kind of neat, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. Something like that. Anything like that. We'll see. I don't know. And then we saw the Sun Claw Star Host pick up to 3 Saurus or Crocscore units that are in combat. For each target, make a pylon move. Then pick an enemy unit in combat with the target and roll a d3 on a 2-up, inflict the amount of mortal damage on the enemy unit equal to the roll. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So end of the turn, 3 pylon and a bite, essentially.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of like their old biting attacks move, except it happens at the end of the turn instead of, end of any turn. So basically just, you know, they got to survive, and then they'll probably do like D3 mortals. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. It also doesn't say that it has to be a different unit, I think, to be the target of the bite. So if you had like 3 Saurus and or Croxagore units,
that's
in
true.
combat with something, you could be doing 3d3 mortal wounds to it. Like,
that's actually pretty. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, why should you have to pick different units if they're all in there in the same, you know, thing? And then
Nick brings up a good point too. Yeah. This plus power through could be pretty interesting. Where you use power through to get out of combat, and then you use power, and then you use this to pile into combat again and bite something. With like a Carnosaur.
That's so true. Wait, and that's right, because it's
Saurus or
formation.
Croxagore, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking like again, it's one of that thing where like, can I do 2 abilities? You know, I'm just trying to figure that out. But yeah, that's so true. That's funny. So you could do like what, up to 4 D3 mortal wounds?
Yeah. No. Sorry, you only pick 3 units regardless.
Yeah,
Oh no, that's true. Sorry, yeah.
with the
Does
power
do another
through.
D3. You're right.
Right. So
But
up
even it
to
just as like a repositioning and pinning tool, it's pretty interesting.
yeah, that's true. Huh. Uh, anyway, Lore of Celestial Manipulation goes off on a 6, 12 inches. Pick a friendly wizard, and then pick a visible enemy unit within 12 inches. Subtract 1 from the Ren characteristic of the target's weapons until the end of your next turn. That's super good, and it's unlimited. So you could really, really make something neutered if you have enough spellcasters. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. That's true with the +2, Nick, but then you also had to have killed the general or whatever, so, you know.
That's not true. You can just pick the +2 at the start of the game.
Oh, that's true. But then if you want to get another one, that's true. Yeah, no, that's a good point though. That's maybe you don't. Maybe you just want to be fast. That's a good point. And like maybe you don't have a slant, so you're just kind of like, well, this isn't doing me any good anyway, you know. Now that's a good point. Okay. Slan Starmaster, 5 up save, 9 health, 6 attacks, 3s and 3s, 1 rend, 1 damage, crit mortal. Add 1 to casting rolls for this unit. In addition, this unit can unbind an enemy unbind ability. Can use an unbind ability if an enemy wizard. It's the same before. I was trying to read it out, but like not doing a great job. And then he's got the celestial equilibrium. It goes off on a 6. For the rest of the turn, add 1 to casting rolls for other friendly Seraphim wizards while they're wholly within 12 inches. So that's pretty good, you know. Could combine it with other things, make other things more powerful and whatnot. Arcane Vassal, pick a friendly skink wizard. It's basically the same as it is now. Within 18 inches, you can cast a spell from him. And then once per turn, your army, your hero phase, pick a friendly Seraphon unit that started the battle with 3 or more models and has been destroyed. Roll a dice on a 4-up, set up a replacement unit with half a number of models from the target unit, rounding up, wholly within 12 inches of this unit and more than 9 inches from enemy units. Really good recursion. Yeah. Not much to say about that. I wonder how many points he's going to be, you know? Oh, and he has a 6-up ward now, like on his thing. So I'm really curious as to how that's going to play out. You know, like maybe the new Astrolith Bearer is +1 to your ward, or it gives a 6-up ward, or if you already have one, then it gives you a 5-up, or that'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
The one thing to note too is that he went to a 5-up save from a 4-up save as well.
That's true.
A little squishier. But
he is, and like the rend seems not lower. Like I was hearing in combat, like the rend seems more, if anything.
The rend, I think, is either the same or probably more, but it's situational to where it's applied to. However,
right, that's true.
He is infantry, so
he sure is. So most things,
yeah, there's a lot of anti-infantry rend out there for sure. There's a lot of anti-infantry stuff out there. So
yeah,
basically, if something gets into combat with him, he's not long for this world.
Well, he's also a hero and a wizard. So he's got like 3 of the things. He's just not cavalry or a monster. So, yeah. Like there's a lot of anti-hero stuff too, eh? Okay. And then we've got the source Old Blood on Carnosaur. 14 wounds, 4-up save, 5 control, 12-inch shooting attack with DC attacks. I'm not a big fan of the D6 attacks. Like it's so random, but it is what it is. He can shoot in combat, 3s and 3s, 1 rend, 1 damage. And then his spear is the exact same. 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, 1 rend, 2 damage, except he gets +1 damage on the charge, which is exciting. The Carnosaur's clawed forelimbs are 4 attacks, 4s and 2s, 1 rend, 3 damage. And the massive jaws are 3 attacks, 4s and 2s, 2 rend, 3 damage. So pretty good. And then it is the jaws that go down to 2 attacks so he really doesn't lose that much when he gets injured. Oh, sorry. And then Spirit of the Charge. If this unit charged this turn, add 1 to charge rolls for friendly Saurus units while they are wholly within 18 inches. Right? So that's pretty good. Like it's kind of thematic too, where he's like running in and everyone's running in behind him. And then subtract 2 from the control scores of enemy units. So it's units, by the way. So it's not like crazy impactful, but it is impactful. Especially against stuff like monsters. You know what I mean? Where they're just getting flat 5 control, and then they're going down to 3. And then once per turn, any combat phase, if this unit is in combat, with any damaged enemy monsters, roll a dice on a 3-up. This unit has to strike first for the rest of the turn. So, like, you try and shoot them going in with your gauntlet, and then if you even pick off 1 pip of damage on the monster, you're striking first 66% of the time. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, the old blood on Carnosaur definitely seems like a pretty potent hammer now, actually.
He's a little bit better in combat, which is really nice, and then he's also got some other kind of funky.
He is a lot better in combat, I think, because his Sunstone Spear just gets +1 damage on the charge, which is just straight buff. That's the only difference.
Yeah.
And then the Clawed Forelimbs and Massive Jaws are both 3 damage flat now. And the important thing to note is that they're 4s and 2s, which is currently they're like 4s and 3s, right?
That's true.
And I think that unbracketed, it's like 3s and 3s for like the 2 damage attacks for the Clawed Forelimbs.
Mm-hmm.
But the damage potential is way higher because what is this? 7 attacks were 3 damage each, 21 total damage. The damage potential currently is 3 attacks at 5 damage each, unbracketed, because remember he could bracket to much worse. So it's 15 damage in there, and then plus 2 attacks at 2 damage, so 19 total. So he's actually doing more damage on average now by far. And his damage potential is higher, and it's more reliable. So
is it more reliable?
It is because it's
hitting on
2s instead of 4s and 3s.
Oh right, it's currently 4s. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really using him for damage at all right now. I was using him for his getting 2 command abilities every turn, which was
like he can obviously spike, but he can do 30. What is that? 36 damage right now is his damage cap.
Okay.
Because he's got what is it? 7,
that sounds right.
12 attacks at 3 damage each on the charge. So yeah, not all buffs apply to companion for sure, but all that attack does. So 3s and 2s on that is pretty. It's pretty scary.
Yeah. And he's got like some fun strike first stuff. Like he's cool. I think he's a lot more interesting now, you know?
Yeah.
And I hope they make the Scar Veteran just as, if not more compelling, you know, than he is right now. Because right now he's just like, you're never ever taking him. But yeah. Okay. And then the Pterodon Riders, I saw a lot of people poo-pooing this, but like now it's not once per game for their dropping cargo ability. So I think they're kind of interesting now. You know, you can do a little mortal damage, and then if they don't have fly, they can't run. Like that's pretty interesting. Like they might have some situational stuff that, you know.
Yeah, as an Ogres player, I hate this.
yeah, exactly, right?
Running
or
Slaanesh.
Slaanesh.
Slaanesh as well. Like this could shut some people down pretty hard.
And they're flying 14 inches still.
Yeah, exactly. Granted, like that's situational for sure. You're gonna
it's very
stuff that just means nothing whatsoever, and that's
really
not the best thing to be spending points on in general.
That's
but
also true,
and you can't summon them in this big thing anymore.
That's true. Yep.
So
right on all fronts.
A conscious choice to like bring the specific thing that shuts down other stuff. So maybe it's like an anti-meta pick when we know what the meta actually is in the future. But yeah,
and it depends on their points too. Like if they're low enough in points, then just a unit of 3 models on 3 health with a 5-up save and 14-inch move is like not bad in itself. And then maybe it does other things as well. You know, and it has a shooting attack, but Engine of the Gods is still like, I don't know why they showed this, to be honest. It's not great. So yeah, I'm just gonna skip over that.
Alex brings up a good point too, which is that no run also means no redeploy.
Ooh,
Free to play is a run now as well.
That's true. Yeah.
So Pterodon Red is the new Unmade? Question mark.
Spicy. Hot takes. And then we've got the Star Scale War Host. Is this also wait, is this a Spearhead thing?
That's Spearhead.
Okay, never mind. Moving right along.
Yeah.
We're going. Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah. Overall, like I'm excited for them. I don't think they gave us enough information to really say much at all about Seraphon in general. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of a random spattering of like war scrolls and rules and stuff like that. But there's some interesting stuff there. You just need to see more, for sure.
Yeah, and I agree with Ladivicus. The melee output for the Engine of the Gods is atrocious for a giant dinosaur. But, it was like it's gone through, like it was such an auto include in the second edition book. So we're still just suffering from crimes of the past. Moving right along to Slaves O Darkness.
Slaves O Darkness. Also,
yeah.
If you've made it this far, please consider dropping us a like.
Good
subscribe.
call. I forgot
thanks so much, everyone, for joining us in the chat. This is going to be the last faction focus that we do today, just because there are no more. But
yeah,
it really helps us out if you leave a like, and you guys have been chatting a whole bunch today and pointing out a lot of really awesome stuff actually. So thank you for that. But yeah, just figured I'd say that just because it's important. But anyway, back to the
go to hell, Carson. Stuff. Moving right along.
Sorry. So the battle traits for Slaves of Darkness, it's just been simplified to Eye of the Gods and Marks of Chaos. Marks of Chaos, I'm going to do first because Eye of the God. Well, yeah, because it doesn't interact with Eye of the Gods. Marks of Chaos, basically, if you're undivided, you get +1 to wound against heroes and monsters. If you're Khorne, you added 1 to the attacks characteristic of units' melee weapons for the rest of the turn if they charged. Tzeentch has a 4-up ward against spell and manifestations. Nurgle is subtract 1 from wounds. That's the same, and Slaanesh is also the same. So basically, most of them are the same as what they were in the current book. And you do still have to pick them at the time of list construction. It's not at the deployment or anything like that. Right. I was kind of hoping with all of the things that we've been seeing where you can kind of pick and choose, it would have been nice to choose them when you see what your opponent is playing. But
right.
There's still a lot of value there for sure. And then the Eye of the Gods tape. The Eye of the Gods table, I think, is just a straight improvement on what it was previously. Previously, you had to roll 2d6 if it was a hero, and then on double ones, they turn into a spawn, and there's a whole bunch of results that are borderline useless. Eye of the Gods now is you only roll 1d6, and on a 1, it just does nothing. On a 2, you heal 3, sorry. And the important thing is that, so I'm just going to read it out actually, sorry. Each friendly Slaves to Darkness unit that destroyed an enemy unit this turn is a target. Friendly beasts and non-hero monsters cannot be targeted by this ability. Make a reward roll of d6 for each target and apply the corresponding effect below. You can reroll the reward roll for the target, but if you do so and you roll a 1, inflict d3 mortal damage on the target. I love that, because right now you kind of had to take Undivided if you wanted to reroll for certain things. Or you had to do some weird mark stuff, and sometimes there are other ways that you could reroll it. But now it's just you can do this, but if you roll a 1, sucks to suck, right? But it's really nice because some units just they don't care about having they don't care about healing right now. Maybe they don't want to be snubbed. They don't want to that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
You can kind of fish for what you want. And the effects are, number 1 is it's no effect. So you're snubbed. Number 2 is that you heal 3. Number 3 is that you add 1 to hit rolls for the rest of the battle, which is nuts.
That's insane. Yeah.
And then if you roll a 4, you have a 6-up ward, and if you already have a 6-up ward, you have a 5-up ward instead. The interesting thing is that maybe you have a 6-up ward from something else, right? Maybe you casted Mystic Shield on a unit to give them a 6-up ward, because we know that's what that does now. Yeah. And then you roll that, they just get a 5-up ward, because it doesn't say the 6-up ward has to be permanent, right? But this ward that you're getting is permanent, so that's kind of interesting. That it doesn't have to be a 6-up ward from this effect.
Right.
And then 5, Slaughterer's Might, is you have +1 rend for the rest of the battle again. And then 6, Champion of Chaos, is that you can pick any of them, which is awesome. 1 in 6
Yeah.
chance to pick any of them is fantastic, and being able to fish for that is crazy. So this is much better. And then it
It's
says at the
much,
bottom that
and
you
it's
can.
fun.
It's really fun. And at the bottom it says the same effect can be applied multiple times to a unit, so you can just keep stacking Ren, keep stacking +1 to hit, keep healing, that sort of stuff. So much better, like A plus, I think, improvement on current Eye of the Gods.
Yeah.
And as we'll see below, there's like more interactions with it. So why don't we just scroll down, actually?
Sure. But like, this is so cool though. Like, even
Yeah.
if your thing with the Mystic Shield gets FAQ'd or whatever, like that wouldn't even surprise me, frankly, right? But like, if you get the same thing, like if it kills a unit, right? You can get it like natively, you know? You could kill 3 units and have a 4-up ward.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep,
that's
very true.
That's like, there's some crazy stuff on here. Also, it doesn't say anything about companion units. So add 1 to the rend characteristic of the target's melee weapons. Like, they're just all up, you know? And like, as other people have said before, Slaves of Darkness is kind of like the War Scroll army, right? So like, most of their stuff is pretty good in the War Scrolls as well. So like, I don't know. I was really jazzed by this preview. And I mean, I don't play the army, but like it's making me tempted.
They also got rid of like a lot of the stuff that you might not really care about. Like,
right,
I remember one of them was just like this becomes a wizard or something like that, which is fine. And some of them is like you can ignore on a 2-up the next spell that targets you, and you're like, that might not matter at all, right? And with having almost no access to being able to reroll stuff, like chances are you're getting something that just no one cared about whatsoever. Whereas this, it's like much more reliable that you get something you care about. Like if you're rolling on Chosen or something like that,
right?
I care about. The only ones I don't care about are 1 and 2, actually, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then I can just re-roll it if I get 1 or 2, which is excellent. So yeah, really, really good.
And like,
I think they did a great job.
And it's not like you're just you don't want to like necessarily fish for 6s, but like you could fish for a 1 in 3 roll to get the thing that you want, right? Because like if let's say you really wanted the extra rend. Well, you get that on that roll, but then you also get it on a 6. And then your re-roll, you get it on that roll or on the 6. Right? So, like, that's a pretty good chance that you're going to get the thing you want. But Delicious did come up with a really good answer to that whole, like, you can't get to a 4-up roll because it doesn't say anything about it past. It only says if you already have a 6-up ward, you get a 5-up ward. But, so you probably won't be able to get a 4-up ward, but that's, yeah.
No, you definitely can't get a 4-up ward.
No, and that's what I said earlier. I wasn't, I got a little too excited, as Alex points out, but it's what I do. Mortark of hype. And by the way, we need to come up with a Mortark name for Kenrick. I know now's not the time, but like it's been something that's been rattling around my very empty brain right now.
Mortark of good vibes.
Good vibe. I mean, I like that, but I feel like there is
Kenrick is the most like good vibes person I know.
That's true. Mortark. It should be Mortark of vibes then. Like it's got to be like.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I like Mortark of vibes.
Yep, I like that.
Let us know what you guys think in the comments and in the like that's a good thing. If people know people, if people have been watching the battle reports. Anyway, moving right along. God's Wrath Warband Ironclad Onslaught. Pick an objective that is contested by a friendly units to be the target. Place a defiled token next to the target objective. Then roll a d3 for each enemy unit contesting an objective that has a defiled token on a 2-up. Inflict the amount of mortal damage to that enemy unit. Don't forget it's a d3, so it doesn't go off on a 2-up. It goes off on a 3-up on a d6, right? But then you inflict either 2 or 3 mortal wounds. That's really fun. Mortark of dead GoPros. that's so much worse. I think we'll stick with Mortark of vibes if that's okay. Hopefully the Mortark of dead GoPros won't apply to us pretty soon, but
hopefully.
And then do you want to read the Lore of the Damned, Demonic Speed?
Yeah, so Demonic Speed just got a straight buff. Where so the reason for that is because I think the casting value is the same, the range is the same. What made it a straight buff is that currently you can only target mounted units, so you can only do like Knight, Varangard, or like a
Right.
mounted hero or something like that to give it a 3d6 charge. Now it's
Yeah.
any Slaves to Darkness unit.
Unit. It could be a monster.
Unit.
It could be anything.
Could be
hero.
Be'lakor if you
Yeah.
want. It
Could
could
be
be
Be'lakor.
yeah. It could be
Good
any-
God.
anything that has the Slaves to Darkness
That's
keyword.
crazy.
Yeah, so much better to have that versatility for sure. Demonic Speed is really good.
Yeah.
Because you could be giving it to like Chosen, which is a traditionally slow hammer.
Right.
Yeah, I like it quite a bit. It's on a 7, so it's like on average barely you're getting it, but
Right.
it's still a little dicey.
Hey.
But yeah, I think it's pretty good. But speaking of Be'lakor, we did get access to his War Scroll. That's what they
Yep.
showed us. He is 14 wounds on a 4-up, which is the same. Moves 14.
It's ethereal still.
Control is 10.
Yeah.
10 instead of 5. So that's pretty big. He's, out controlling most monsters. They also sneakily gave him a 6-up ward, which is kind of interesting because he didn't have a ward. He doesn't have a ward right now. So that's pretty nice. What are you smiling at in the chat? Huh?
Oh, just more Tarkov Stone vibes and like some other. I was also just thinking about more Tarkov dead GoPros. Still.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Be'lakor. So he's got his Blade of Shadows, which is 8 attacks, 3s, run 2 2 and a crit auto wounds, which is really nice with a high volume amount of attacks. The Fell Claw and Spearing Tail just got condensed into one profile, which makes total sense. 2s and 2s though, natively, which is crazy. Rend 2 damage, and then 3 damage if he's on the charge. So he can actually slap pretty hard.
Yeah. He was never like a total slouch, but it was a little unimpressive for this giant demon monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then he's ethereal, as you said. He has a rampage, which is you can pick this unit and up to 2 friendly Slaves to Darkness units within this unit's combat range to be the targets. On a 4-up, they get strike first. Excellent. I like that a lot.
What?
Because Be'lakor is so fast and he flies, he can kind of be positioned however you want. And then if you have a slower hammer like Chosen, like I was talking about, he can zoom up his 14 and decide,
Well, and it is enemy combat phase. But
is it? I bet.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But like it's such a strong like. Oh, can you imagine if it was like if it was both? That'd be wild.
Yeah.
I still love this scrolls.
You can also do some sneaky stuff still though, which is like, not to do with this necessarily, but Demonic Speed can be cast in your opponent's turn,
right?
And then you can give yourself 3d6 counter charge if you want to.
Ooh, that's true. Yeah, that's a great point.
So yeah, there's some interesting stuff here. It's a little more techy. Deadly Trap, keeping Be'lakor close to like a hammer or something like that is pretty nice. He can also get Eye of the Gods, which is really good.
People always put that, and I always read it as Engine of the Gods. That's what I'm used to.
You can get Engine of the Gods.
Yeah, I was like, why is Eric talking about Engine of the Gods? I know, like the Seraphon article was a few days ago. Anyway, I eventually figured it out. And then he still has the Dark Master.
He does, and it's better.
Is it better?
It is better. I'll tell you why. So pick a friendly. I'll just read it out. Pick a visible enemy unit to be the target.
Okay.
Visibility is the key thing. That's a little different. It didn't have to be visible before. It was just any enemy unit on the battlefield.
Okay.
The effect is until the start of your next turn, each time the target is picked to use an ability, roll a dice as a reaction. On a 3-up, that ability has no effect. The reason why it's better is because right now Be'lakor gives you a laundry list of things that you have to roll 3-up.
Oh, and now everything's an ability.
Everything is an ability.
Right.
Yeah. And it could disrupt you so much because it's like you're using multiple abilities per phase, right? Like maybe you're using like a move as an ability, and then maybe you have like a movement phase ability that you can't use.
Right.
A charge is an ability, a rampage is an ability, a fight is an ability, all that sort of stuff that like you're just not sure if you're going to be able to do. It's so much more disruptive than just saying I can't do anything this phase.
Well, and I think before it was on a lot of those things. Like I was definitely on move and charge
move, using commands, chanting, spell casting,
Was it not on fighting? Oh, it was. Okay. Okay.
and shooting. Yeah, but it wasn't
Okay.
like if you had a special ability on your war scroll, you could just do it. It didn't matter.
Right.
So
That's true. Huh.
it's much better. It's shutting down things that right now it's not.
That's true. I didn't think about that. Yeah. I like it.
And then he's got his enfeeble foe spell, casting value 6. Pick an enemy within 18 inches until the start of your next turn. Subtract 1 from hit rolls, and the target's combat attacks cannot score critical hits, which is also pretty huge.
Right.
Especially if you're going against someone like Cruel Boys, where that's probably going to be like the main focus of their army. So
Right. Yeah.
he's looking good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looking real good.
I think he's awesome, and and thank goodness. Like I always thought his 40K War Scroll was like superb, like way better than AoS. But now he's finally like looking really cool, and I just
Yeah, and as
also
Bobo said in the chat, he does benefit from Undivided, so he gets +1 to wound against heroes and monsters.
dang. So he's wounding he's wounding on 2 even with -1 to wound on his spearing tail and 2s.
Yeah.
Jeez, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty reliable. Does he currently have a 6-up ward?
No, that's why.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Ooh. And then he could get to the 5-up ward with Eye of the Gods as well.
Yep.
Sheesh.
Or
oh
Ethereal,
man.
the 5-up ward is just.
Jeez Louise. That's crazy. That's actually crazy.
And then moving down
Yep.
to La Demon Prince.
Mm-hmm.
His health forged weapons are, crit mortal. That's really good. Flat 3 damage.
Yep.
I'm going to kind of ignore it because we're running out of time a little bit.
That's true.
He can fly. He can have a trophy rack for anti-hero +1 rend. The big thing, though, that they did with Demon Prince is that they gave him this Ruinous Favor ability, which is you can pick a friendly non-unique unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit that shares a mark of Chaos keyword with this unit to be the target.
Okay.
Roll a dice on a 3-up. That target can immediately use the Eye of the Gods ability as if it were the end of the turn and they destroyed an enemy unit.
Jeez.
So you can just be fishing for Eye of the Gods rolls on your hammers.
That's crazy.
Until you're ready to go in. So I really love this.
And he can do it on himself too.
Yes, he can.
So, whoa, that's super cool. I'm glad we're gonna see them, even though like you're losing the like make him a Nurgle, and then he gives, he can take a heroic action to make everyone lose their ward saves. Like that was crazy. But he was so not scary in combat himself. It was just kind of like okay,
Yeah. Now he's actually quite scary.
He's scary, and he's like this crazy buffing piece. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, super cool. Super cool. Then we see the Chaos Knights, who the big difference is that they gained a wound. So they're 4 health instead of 3 health now.
Wow.
Which is pretty crazy.
No
they
kidding.
Don't seem to have a mortal wound ward anymore. So that's kind of
interesting.
But they have pretty easy well, not easy, but they have access to a 6-up or a 5-up ward via Eye of the Gods though. So
that's true. Yeah. That's a good point.
That's pretty,
and they've got
pretty good.
An extra 33% wounds. So, like,
yes,
you could argue that that's better than a ward, really.
Yeah. The second big change is that their Cursed Lance are hitting on 3s instead of 4s now too.
That's huge.
They're just straight buff essentially.
Yeah.
And then we've got the
scary.
Dark Oath Marauders, which I don't actually really know what their current war scroll is because these guys just came out.
Yeah.
The big thing is that they get +1 to rend for the rest of the battle if they make an unmodified charge of 8+. However, demonic speed is a thing to guarantee that almost, or make it much more likely because you can target them. Because they get a 3d6 charge. And then while they're wholly within 12 inches of any Dark Oath heroes, each time one of them is slain, on a 5-up, you do mortal wounds back after the fight ability is resolved. So it's kind of just like zombies right now. So if they're near another Dark Oath hero, they can spit mortal wounds back, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Pretty cool. Reading this through again, it is actually like quite interesting. I'm excited to see like the rest of the war scrolls to see if there's like more buff pieces and kind of what the army is going to shape up to be. But Slaves to Darkness has always been like we have very good war scrolls army. And it seems like
Yeah.
what they're doing is they're leaning into that, basically just saying like, we're just going to keep putting on like more stat buffs, and then eventually you can go in and do what you want. They're just getting like more powerful as the battle goes on. So
Yep.
it's pretty cool.
And they also seem more like they seem quite technical now. Like
Yeah.
you can really, if you play this army smart, like this thing could be a real threat. And a part of that is in army construction, but it's also in how you kind of play it and synergize your army on the battlefield. Honestly, I think this is one of the cooler faction focuses we've seen. Like I mean, maybe it's just because like I'm such a Timmy and I love, especially like on the channel and whatnot. But I mean, like this is kind of like the right mixture for me in general. Like I like Johnny, Timmy, and which side I lean into kind of depends on whether I'm on camera or not. You know what I mean? But like, there's always both of those things are at war within me, and like this has both things. I really think I think it has stuff for Johnny's and it has stuff for Timmy. So it could just be my psychographic profile why I like this faction focus more than the others. Also, I love Be'lakor. Like I own a Be'lakor and I don't own any Slaves to Darkness units, so I have Be'lakor just to paint. So I clearly like the model, but yeah, I don't know, man. I really like this one. I hope you're excited about it too.
Yeah, it's super cool. I think definitely I'm going to be painting more Slaves to Darkness this year for sure.
Nice.
Kind of just like rounding out my forces. Yeah, but I hope that magically the models I have
Are
I
good.
want to play with.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean,
So long. Takes so long.
that's true. Like for those that don't know, he's got like this Bretonian corrupted Slaves to Darkness story where each one is like their own kind of lord. And so they've all got their own family colors and background story to them. So it's so awesome. Yeah, I really hope you like them because, it would be super cool. But yeah, thanks for the kind words, Kiki, Kenrick. I don't know that we deserve quite such high praise, but I will certainly take it. And thanks to everyone for joining us. It was a blast as usual. Your comments made the stream much better. And if you did, like Carson said earlier, if you made it this far, please, like and subscribe and, subscribe to roll on the Eye of the Gods table. Yeah, just tell them I told you could do it.
Yep.
Doesn't even matter if you're in a game. You can just I got a 2. But thanks to everyone for joining us. Yeah, we'll. Oh, you got a 3. Excellent. I'm glad to hear it. I don't remember what either one of those things do. But yeah, we'll see you guys next Tuesday for more nonsense, and we've got some more battle reports on the way. And yeah, thanks to everyone for joining us. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.